All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Diligent Spaces on X. We have with us, he should be coming up. Go ahead and hit the request button, Mitch, and I'll get you right up here. It should bring you right up on stage. Mitch Snow, the Fort Huachuca whistleblower who has withstood the test of time, the smears, the attacks, everything the establishment machine could throw at him, and he is still left standing. Bottom right corner, everybody, please repost the space. Thank you so much. Let's get as many people in here as we can. Mitch, there is a button on the bottom left corner of your screen. Hit that request button on the bottom left, and it should bring you back up. I see you down there. Let's Noxie, are you ready for this?
Let's fucking go.
Okay, Noxie, do we have to immediately go with the F bombs? I
I'm
don't know what's
sorry.
going
I
on
was
with people.
excited. I was excited. My bad. I apologize.
Oh, there he is. Mitch, can you hear me, sir? You have to unmute the microphone and then mute the microphone. So whenever you're
There we go. We're still getting used to all this stuff.
Yep, yeah. And so whenever you're not speaking, so here's let me just kind of set the parameters for everybody real quick. For the first portion of this, I'm going to just keep the conversation between Nick, myself, and my co-host while we kind of go through what I want to go through. And then later on in the interview, I will open it up for speakers to come up. We put a post out yesterday. Dude, the amount of questions that people have for Mitch is insane. You saw the post earlier, right, Mitch?
Oh yeah, that's quite the list. Yeah.
So what we'll do is we will pick a few of those off of that list, and then we will go from there. So what we're not going to do, let me just kind of set the format here. My main focus tonight is to hear Mitch's experiences leading up to Fort Huachuca and the day of and the days of Fort Huachuca. I am not going to spend a significant amount of time debating Mitch's past with like all of the other shills we had attacking him. We don't need to spend a bunch of time. I don't care about that. My audience doesn't care about that. They're here because they want to hear your experiences surrounding Fort Huachuca. And so that is going to be our mainstay. If there's, of course, Mitch, let me just kind of say this. If there's anything that I am not addressing that you do want to talk about, please let me know if we skip anything. If there is anything that you do not feel comfortable with sharing, for instance, maybe you and Candace are still, maybe Candace is still working on putting something out since you were her first source, and you don't want to address that yet, or maybe if there's any reason at all that you don't feel comfortable talking about something for any reason whatsoever, it doesn't matter what it is, just tell me that you're not ready to talk about that or you don't feel like talking about that now, and we'll just keep moving on. It's not a big deal. You don't need to explain yourself. You're just not ready to talk about it yet. Is that okay?
That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And so my main focus here is just try to extract, and I'm going to be really open about this. I'm going to try to extract as much about your trip to Fort Huachuca as possible, right? Within that you're willing to share. So that's going to be my mission. I want to hear, and I want to go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. You go right ahead. You're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna I'm just trying to get as much information about Fort Huachuca out of you as possible, because every day since this has happened, outside all of the noise, and I realize that it's easy to get caught up in the back and forth of the drama of the shills on YouTube and on the timeline, and turns out a lot of them were paid. That's neither here nor there, but we can get caught up on that and then lose focus on what's really important here, which is the fact that you saw key TPUSA people or adjacent people at Fort Huachuca the days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, that's not an implication of any guilt of anything. That's not saying that they were up to anything nefarious. We have no idea why these people would have been visiting this military base in those hours, right? And we're just trying to, can you tell us for sure if you were or if you were not? We still haven't gotten those answers yet. If you were, can you tell us why? We have a lot of questions. So, in that regard, how I'd like to start this is, if you don't mind, Mitch, can you tell us the kind of like the short version of why you were at Fort Huachuca in the first place, and it has to do with your previous military. You don't need to tell us all of the drama because a lot of us got it from Candace Owens, but what the purpose was for you to go there, like the backdrop for you to be on your way to Fort Huachuca, if you could.
Yeah, I love this question. Yeah, trying to condense 35-year history into a soundbite. No, I've been basically targeted for a good portion of my adult life, and trying to get records of these things that have occurred, and how I've been basically silenced. It takes a lot of records. It takes time to actually build a case like that, and you have to get records over time. And in the last couple of years, this has just come to a head because I'm just fed up. Um, there's no reason why I shouldn't have my son in my life, and it's just basically over, these built up allegations. Um, and the allegations are absolutely absurd and preposterous. Because of
So
that,
you're just for I can recap for the audience. So his military history is in question, the events that he went through, and the traumatic events that he endured post his military service. He's been trying to collect records on that because he's in a nasty divorce case with his wife, and a custody case at that, which is even worse. And he has a younger son that's a teenager, and so he has been trying to collect as many records around his past as possible for this case. So that was the reason why he was going to Fort Huachuca. Go ahead, Mitch.
yeah, uh, when you don't have records, or if somebody else is trying to say something about your records and characterize you, and you really don't have a voice, or you're not stepping up to it, they can make up anything they want, and they have. So I've been, me and Amy here for the last couple of years, we've been on a quest to get every single bit of my records possible. We've been going to, Florida, to the East Coast, Washington, D.C., and back. And then this was the last record that, it's not that I don't have records of being there, or being a part of the JTF 6 missions, or getting awards for it, or being placed as a critical part, but there were some pieces that I wanted to uh, just basically reinforce by going down there to get some of the original prosecutorial records that happened
If
during
you
that time.
if you don't mind, what were those pieces?
Uh, so there were prosecutions back then, that contain, uh, the evidence that some of our military and U.S. agents were involved in the building and hiding of that tunnel. My unintentional, discovery of that, it wasn't really intended. I don't think they thought it was going to happen.
What was the tunnel that you discovered, and what was it used for?
So in May of 1990, uh, we got assigned to the JTF 6 mission as, it was a 96 Romeo. I noticed that was one of the questions on there. So my original MOS was 96 Romeo, ground radar and RMBAS sensor operator. Uh, the ground sensors that we were using were seismic acoustic, and we were using them to basically detect movement, uh, trying to discover why 80%, I think it was 60 to 80% of the cocaine that was coming into the United States at that time was coming through Douglas, or around Douglas, Arizona, which is right on the border in between Fort Huachuca and Fort Bliss. Um, we went down there, and we did a pretty good job. And I was the one who laid the sensors, and then I was also on the readouts when I discovered the proposition that it was an underground tunnel. And I was able to hand that off because there were certain conditions. It would be a long story. I'll write a book someday. But once that raid happened, the evidence, it wasn't just the cocaine, the guns, the crates of money that was discovered. It was a pretty big deal. And the tunnel itself, which cost, I think it was 1.4 million is what they were saying. They called it like a James Bond tunnel. It was pretty elaborate. But it was the evidence in picture evidence on the Mexican side that implicated U.S. members, and that's something I don't think has ever really been covered. But there is evidence, I think, in open source you can get that shows that there was a picture reference that showed U.S. members with Sinaloa cartel members in the building of that tunnel. We were trying to get the prosecutorial case for that and evidence of that just from my own records. And we were going to question the FBI as to why I haven't been protected since that day, which I should have been. They should have been looking for me to be targeted.
Did you testify in an inquiry about these tunnels?
I did have a deposition. I had a.
So you were deposed, but you were under oath.
With Army CID, and also I think it was a federal prosecutor from Tucson at the time. And then I was sent back to Fort Drum on a plane by myself. So yeah.
Interesting. And did that tunnel get shut down as a result of your findings and the inquisition that occurred afterwards, or was there continued reports of trafficking from near the base?
That tunnel did get shut down. From what I understand is I think they filled it in or tried to. And it wasn't just me. I didn't do the raid. I just pinpointed the location that it was it was an underground tunnel. We have white hats and black hats inside of our government, unfortunately. And the good guys, yeah, they did their job. They performed a raid. They got the evidence. They blocked the tunnel. But that also proved that we had the technology back then to go ahead and discover every single tunnel. The interesting part about that is it caused the cartel to basically redesign their distribution system. And that's where they started using, submarines on the East Coast, and then also using the ports of entry in the Bay Area as well as Puget Sound later on, and started concentrating their smuggling through there. So, it's all part of that drug history. Do they continue to do it? Yeah, unfortunately, they still build tunnels, and they're famous for it down there.
Yeah, I know that for a fact.
Yeah, there's as I tried to tell Stu Peters, I think the testimony from Mrs. Halliday, Patricia Halliday, she and her husband, who was a retired lieutenant colonel from the Army, in trying to find out what happened to their son, they've uncovered some incredible evidence that it just breaks my heart. But yeah, you're talking about tunnels on the border, sometimes with cooperation of military members, smuggling on base, sex trafficking.
And there's been reports, if you guys don't know, I would have anyone look up Fort Huachuca scandals or Fort Huachuca, and that's with an H. It sounds like Wa, like a W, but it's actually HUA when you spell Huachuca. And look up Fort Huachuca and trafficking, and then Fort Huachuca sexual assaults, and you will see a litany of allegations, not only allegations, but actually sustained investigations that found evidence of operations occurring on base and near base in conjunction with military personnel, some of them as high ranking as is it lieutenant general, or there's a not quite general, it's a some form
Lieutenant
of
Colonel,
general, adjunct general.
Adjutant General.
And so, yep. That was he ended up resigning as a result of the scams that he was involved with in the early 2010s. Um, so, just kind of give people a kind of like a feel for what we're talking about here. When you were involved in that cartel tunnel situation,
Mhm.
was it revealed to you? I'm gonna be very general. Was it revealed to you that there were individuals within the federal government, either they be in the military or in politics, that were working with the cartels and trafficking through the tunnel there?
Initially, no, I was just part of the team that helped discover the tunnel, and then they had the raid upon it. In the days following, after we incinerated all the, the ton of cocaine and everything else that came with it, um, we continued the mission to try and, discover other tunnels with the sensors. And I was sent to Noka. It's either Noka or Naco, Arizona, right along the border. If you're not looking for it, it's a really small place, but it's a border patrol outpost there. And me and one other were there, uh, and we got followed on the Mexican side by a couple of vehicles with men, guns, and they sort of looked like they were out hunting, but we went into a store to get to get some refreshments, to get some drinks for, because it's a hot ass desert down there. But when we did, we got followed in, and somebody came in to basically confirm me as who I am. And they had my personal information. You got to understand, we weren't in uniform. We were civilian dressed. So technically undercover, relaxed grooming standards, a tan. I definitely had hair, unlike my DOD photo. And this guy, yeah, he came in and he had personal information about where I went to high school, where my mother lived, her name, what friends I had, all the information that I had inside of my clearance packet. I was just a dumb 20-year-old. I didn't know what was going on back then or what that conversation was about when he left and he went back to these vehicles. It was the agent that I was with that actually, saved my dumbass, and pulled us out the back way to get back to the vehicle and then get me back to post. And initially, they thought it was something that I did to reveal. They thought maybe it was cartel operating opportunistically, that I'd given away my information somehow. I thought I was in trouble until the next day. I had a debriefing deposition with a U.S. Army CID captain, and then also was going to be a prosecutor from Tucson, federal prosecutor that was involved in the cases. And that's where they disclosed to me that my information had been given to the cartel. And that, I was young. I didn't know what that meant. I don't think a lot of people knew what that meant back then, or how much danger that would put me in the future. But it put me on their list. So there were things that happened in my life where my identity was getting stolen, credit was being run up. It was threatening my security clearance. I had to pay off a lot of debt because of these things. What we now know is that's a technique by cartel to track government agents, track people through the government, through exploiting the U.S. laws on debt collection. And they basically tracked me through my career into special forces and then up to Fort Lewis, Washington, where once I got out from there, I was approached in 1998, and having collected up probably some desirable skills by them, being a special forces engineer, these types of people that work with these transnational criminal organizations, they give you an offer. It's silver or lead. What's the met? They said Plato or Plio or Plato, something like that. And it means silver or lead. Basically, take the deal. Otherwise, to help us recruit, harm, harass, even kill others, and do whatever, or become a target of it. I told the guy to kick rocks. I thought he was insane. But no,
I don't blame you.
I thought he read too many movies, and at that time I thought, I've actually dealt with the cartels. They're down south. They're in Arizona. What are you talking to me up in Washington for? But no, I
You
was
feel
wrong.
like it was you were being tested or being played with by somebody within the well, that then it would have been the Clinton administration, correct? You said late
Uh,
90s?
yeah, it was 98, so it would have been the end of
And
Clinton
so
administration.
I just want to highlight something at this point. This issue with being harassed by individuals in the government after you witnessed what you witnessed at Fort Huachuca, um, that that persisted throughout presidencies despite their political ideologies, right? So Clinton was a Democrat, Bush was a Republican, Trump's a Republican now. When you were dealing with this stuff, the backlash from the government, it's persisted regardless of what party was in power. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I didn't going through it. I didn't necessarily think that this was some sort of government conspiracy or anything like that. I just thought that this guy was wacko. Um,
Yeah, but how could he
but
have
over
information about your clearance packet? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
all of these, yeah. I mean, down on the border when that happened, yeah, that was. I mean, after I went through the interview, yeah, when this guy approached me later on in '98, this lawyer, I didn't know what he was with or how he got his information. This was pretty much pre-internet. This is pre-cell phones. Um, so it's not like today. I think people start to forget that, we didn't have cell phones and all that kind of stuff back then. Um, so it was a different time. I didn't know where he was getting his information or why he was approaching me. I did think it was concerning, so I tried to report it. Uh, that fell on deaf ears. And so it took me basically just recording things over the next 25 years as he followed me. And we have the court cases of people that he sent to, people who admitted being hired by him to break into my house to come kill me. And we caught them. They were convicted. And strangely enough, um, that court case got buried. It got misfiled. There's no names on it. It didn't get reported to national databases or anything, which is pretty strange.
yeah, because it would
And
have to go on NCIS.
you would think, yeah, you would think that the FBI would be aware of this case. But even as late as 2023, 24, Special Agent Miller here at Richland FBI field office said, "Oh, Mr. Snow, that's precious. Oh, you think that somebody came, but we just don't have any evidence of that case. There's no police report, there's no district court case." Well, I got fed up with that this last year, and yeah, we went and found it. There are certain places where they do keep records forever. We found those places, and
So
we
was
uncovered it.
was Fort Huachuca, because now we're talking about going after the records. Um, was Fort Huachuca the only army base or the only base? Because I know it's a multifaceted base. Pretty much any branch of intelligence training happens there. From what I'm told, it's one of the only stations in the whole country that does a specific set of training. And that's the only place you can kind of go. Um, is that the only army base that you went to collect records like that? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh no, I've been to Fort Lewis, Fort Bragg. Um, down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas. We've been all over requesting records, getting my records from those different places.
And
But
when
most
you
of all,
went
these ones are important.
when you went to these other army bases, did you document in much as the same way that you did with Fort Huachuca?
Um, yeah, I mean, like going to Fort Lewis, I had Amy with me, and yeah, we keep recording. And have we been? Have they been a whole lot helpful? Not. I can't say that they've been very. The government's been very helpful with records much at all.
Is that why you're
But
documenting so much? Is to document the fact that they are not really being very cooperative?
yeah, I'd say stonewalling. It's been very. It's been difficult. Um, so yeah, when going down to Fort Huachuca, it was sort of a tough call because Amy wasn't able to get off work. She wasn't able to come with me, but there was just something. I don't know. It was something just urged me that we really needed those records before we went to our local congressman and prosecutors with the evidence that we already had stacked up. Um,
And
so
what and can you walk me through like when how you decided you were going to go to Fort Huachuca, and like creating your plan to go? You said Amy couldn't go with you. How did you get down there and when did you go? All of that.
yeah, we there's this wonderful tool that everybody should be using about this time. All these AI tools that we now have with Grok, ChatGPT. We were putting my records through the probability charts and also doing strategic threat assessments and stuff, and it became revealed through that these records would be very strategic to get, especially the prosecutorial ones. Um, and because of that, before we went to present what I had uh, to local prosecutors as well as federal prosecutor and congressman, I wanted to have those last records. And it was just we were on a schedule. I have the urgency of wanting to be able to use this to be able to prove my case in court so I can see my son. And I don't want to wait another Christmas. Um, so it just got important enough that I ended up telling Amy, either you can get me a ticket flying down there, or I'm going to jump in the car and drive and just get it done and over with. Um, she got me a ticket. Uh, I ended up flying down there, and yeah, she was very worried about
When
me the
did
whole
you
time.
when did you fly down there?
We flew, was it the September 8th? That morning is when I got in. Left here early, had stop offs in, uh, I think that one went down to LA, didn't it? And then it was Salt Lake to LA, then over to Tucson. Uh, and so I got there about, what was it, mid afternoon? About. And then we had to go through renting cars, and they have particular rules in Arizona about using debit cards and credit cards down there when renting cars. You have to have it within state or something. So there was a little difficulty between which place I would be able to rent a car at. Um, but we got it cleared up. I ended up renting a car, jumped in and went straight down to Fort Huachuca where Amy had helped me
How
get
far of
a,
a that's about is that if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's about an hour drive from Tucson to Fort Huachuca. Is that correct?
yeah, about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. And so you're going on base now, pretty much, if I'm correctly, to get on base because it's a massive base. I believe it's like 10. It has a lot of square mileage because they do testing there for various things, and just they have a lot of acreage,
Yeah.
square miles, I think. uh it's gated access to get to any of the buildings, including the hotel where you stayed at, correct, where you have to show a valid military ID or veterans ID card, etc., to even get through the gate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think one of the questions that's come up is a little misconception, like civilians can't get on the military bases. That's not true.
Yeah, that's not true. I've been on military bases.
Yeah. Sometimes they have great parks and great facilities there.
In
So
Florida,
yeah,
they have the best beaches.
oh, they do. We were down there this year too. They really do. Anyway, I went through the front gate. Once I got there, had to get familiar with Sierra Vista. I think I got turned around on the freeway a couple of times. You really got to be careful about um, they have a lot of speed traps down there. The speed limit will go from 75 down to 45, up to 55, down to 35 a lot. So that was a little bit interesting to negotiate. But yeah, I came onto the base. I had my card. I asked questions at the gate, how to get to the Candlewood and all that.
Do they ask you what
Um,
do you have to have stated business when you go? I don't, because if you're like, as a civilian, you have to give them the business of why you're, a reason as to why you're there. Do they ask you, why you're wanting to come on base when you check in at the guard post?
no, I just went in there asking questions on how to get to the Candlewood. They really didn't
Oh,
ask too
because
many
you can go
questions
to
at all.
use the canteen or whatever, right? You're a vet, so you can go
Hey,
use the
Diligent, can I interject just real quick? Because Mitch, this is Sam, by the way, Mitch. Appreciate your
Yep,
time. This is a
sure.
question I've had, and I just want to get permanent clarification. Were you at the Candlewood on base, building 44-200, or were you at the Candlewood in nearby Sierra Vista? Because there's two of them. And I've just been
Right. No, I
confused
was
as
at.
to which one you were at.
Well, I'll be real clear. I was on the one on the base.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I could have told you that because I wanted to go there myself, and I don't have. You have to have access to get to that Candlewood. So,
Yeah,
so
Well, I
I
there's two.
couldn't
imagine
There's
you've
go.
got.
two, and they're on the map. People have been asking me. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't been able to find the ironclad clarification. So we got it from Mitch's mouth
There-
himself. The one on base, not the one in Sierra Vista.
That's right.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was interesting because rolling up to it, I recognized the building. Those are some of their converted barracks that they converted into these hotels, and
Right.
this happened to be one that looked. I don't think it was the exact one I had as barracks. Mine were a little bit back into the right of that one, but they were the same building, same type. So I was really fascinated by
Just
that.
for the audience, so the as the base expanded, it swallowed up this hotel, and now it is used for both civilian and base residence, as a residence for temporary residence for both military personnel and civilians or civilian contracts or family of military personnel, and it's on base, so it's actually a part of the base even though it is independently owned through some kind of contract that that chain of hotels has with the federal government. Go ahead, continue, Mitch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those familiar with the military, I mean, you can book this through what they call MWR and stuff. It's not that hard a deal. But yeah,
But as I
I
understand it, though, because I looked into this, you cannot FOIA request the footage or records of that Candlewood because
Sam, if you let
private.
me
It
get
is
through,
privately, right?
if you let me get through the interview, I'm going to open
Okay.
it up for broader
All right.
conversation. I just kind of want to get. All right, thank you. Um, you're good. So you weren't here for that. I kind of laid out how I wanted to approach it until then. So you get through the gate, you ask some questions about where to go, and then what time was this that you got to the gate? And it's rough estimate. You're not under oath here. It's okay to not be exactly precise, just as close as you can remember.
I mean, if we had to, we could probably look up our phone records. I was on the phone with Amy as I came through. We were trying to find, like you said, it's sort of a large base. It's also a bit deceiving because it's along the side of some mountains there, and it's sort of rolly desert. So, uh, even though it's like flat terrain, you sort of have to roll up over things before you see stuff, and it makes it a little bit difficult to navigate on the post if you haven't been there in a while like me. So I got there. What about 5? I think I came through the gates around 5 or so. wandered around trying to find the can of wood, finally found it. We were on the phone at 5:37, checking into the hotel. I went back and forth between my room and back up to the front desk a few times, and that's when I saw people that were there in the lobby.
I'm
The
gonna
man I noticed.
I'm gonna pause you right there just for a second because this
Yeah.
is one of the most crucial parts of the conversation. So I'm going to recap our audience. If you just joined us, please go down to the comment section and repost the space. I want everybody to be able to participate in this conversation with Mitch, where we're not focusing on ad hominems and we're focusing on the story. Please go down to the comment section and hit the repost space. That's how the algorithm gets this visible. Another thing is, I want to recap for everybody. We have Mitch Snow, who is the whistleblower from Fort Huachuca, who has allegedly identified individuals associated with Turning Point at Fort Huachuca, meeting with top brass on during a 2-day trip that he was there. I'm not going to get specifics. I'll let you do that, Mitch. Just before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So he came out on Candace Owens' show. He has been through the ringer as far as smears, slanders, attacks. It was immediate. The antibody response to this guy's story let a lot of us know that there was something there they didn't want us talking about. And so that's where we're at. He just described why he was going to Fort Huachuca in good detail. He described going to Fort Huachuca, when he got there, and now we're just now getting to the hotel. And it's about, and this is a key part because something we didn't know before. I knew when I asked you yesterday on the phone, but a key part of this is that he got there he saw these people at the hotel, I believe around between 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time and 6 p.m. Mountain Time, which is, if you don't know, that is 2 hours before Eastern. So that would be 7 p.m. Between, am I right? 7:30 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern is when he would have seen these individuals, give or take, right? Go ahead, Mitch. So you go up to your room, you grab some stuff, you go back down, you come back up, you go to the lobby, you're messing around like we all do when we get in hotels. And so can you describe why you're going back down to the desk or wherever it was you saw these people when you noticed them? And can you describe as much as you can remember? And I would even ask you to close your eyes and visualize what you see as you describe it, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So as I got there, Amy's the one who made the reservation, so she had called ahead to make sure that I was there. She was really worried about me being. She's worried about me leaving the house or leaving the house at any time, much less going all the way down to Arizona. So yeah, she was already calling in the front desk to make sure everything was set up for me. I had to get there, show my ID and stuff at the desk, and uh, just drop some stuff off at the room. I was in between there. We were on video call. I was showing her around the lobby, around the hotel, because this was I was trying to take her on a tour of, this is basically my old barracks, of what's there, and it was really interesting. Um, and in between there, again, dropping off a bag of clothes and stuff like that. Coming out to the front desk, just asking them a little bit about the history of when they uh, converted the barracks into this hotel, into the Candlewood Suites, and there was just chit chat between me and the front desk, and it was during that time that I noticed the man who was sitting on the couch, and there were, you could tell there were other young army troops that were probably there temporarily, that were in the dining facility behind us. But this guy was sitting alone on the couch in the lobby. He just had a different sheen to him, a little bit more put together, and a little bit of a beard, tightly shaven, and he looked to me, he looked like, I just assumed military, especially the watch that he had. It looked a little bit more olive drab. It had a little bit of a cloth to it, but it was a it was a nice watch, very pragmatic type of watch, and I'll just leave it at that. Um, there's we'll leave that there. But
Why did
I was
you,
gonna.
if you don't mind, why did you take notice of him so much? What was it about him that
He
kind of
seemed like a
stuck out to you?
contractor.
He seemed like
Yeah,
a
he
what?
seemed like a contractor, like an ex special forces guy who was there for contracting of some type. I sort of pegged him that way, and enough that I almost went up to ask him, like what group he had been in, or I was going to ask him where he had served and stuff, and um,
So to you,
and that,
he came across as a Green Beret,
yeah, possibly, yeah, somebody that was
potentially.
professional, yeah, a professional soldier that was probably there doing contracting of some type, um, and that. Yeah, that sort of piqued my interest, and he had a nice watch, and I'm a watch guy. Um, so yeah, as I was going back and forth
Pay attention to
to
what
my
he's
room,
saying. Right here is like so crucial. Continue, Mitch.
as I came back out of the room, was coming back up to the lobby to talk with the front desk and stuff, and with Amy, and that's when a woman crossed my path, and she walked in front of me to go sit at the couch with this guy, and uh, I sort of gasped, and she noticed. I had to take it off speakerphone and everything to just talk with a person. She was like, "Well," she thought something was wrong with me, and um, yeah, I recognized those eyes, and it just took me for a gasp for a minute,
So
and
here's a quick. Just from pause you, and I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just interjecting every once in a while to make sure. So he saw when he was down there talking to the hotel staff in the lobby. Um, and you guys don't know if you know Candlewood Suites. I do. There's a breakfast dining area that's just adjacent from the lobby, and there's couches. Usually, the setup varies on where you're at, but there's lounging chairs and couches and like dining room tables and stuff in the area between the lobby and this dining room area. So he's down there. He's talking to the staff about when we're barracks converted into hotels, and what's the deal with the Candlewood and all this. And he notices this individual who strikes him as potentially special forces or some kind of elite military. And it's so much that he's thinking about approaching him and asking him where he's or what outfit he was with, etc. He doesn't do it, right? And so now he's describing going back and doing whatever, talking to his wife. And when he returns to the lobby, am I right? So when
mhm.
you see the woman, you return to the lobby. Is she sitting with the individual on the couch? This guy you thought was special forces, is she sitting with him on the couch when you get back to the lobby? Are they standing? What are they doing?
Yeah, so it was a corner couch, and so she went up, and he was on one angle of it, or one side of it, and he had been checking his watch and stuff before, like he was looking for something, like he was waiting on an appointment or something. And then when she came down, he sat facing toward her, and she sat facing toward him with her hands in her between her knees, and uh, yeah, it looked like they were trying to have a conversation or something, and they were definitely going to go somewhere. I didn't, obviously it's not my business. I was curious about talking about him, but
So
or talking to him.
one of the top questions that my listeners had when I said, "What questions do you have?" They want to know how chummy the man and the woman you saw at the hotel were. Were they touching knees? If you can remember, were they holding hands at all? How close were they sitting? How chummy were those individuals?
Yeah, that's they were definitely trying to have um, a private conversation.
So you think
They
they were
seemed
huddled?
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
They were, that would be a good way of putting it. They sort of huddled
Did they
toward each
strike
other.
you as a romantic couple at all?
Yeah, possibly. It seemed like they were meeting to go somewhere, definitely. I ended up going, I think I had forgotten one thing at my room, came back out. And when I did, they were jumping into a truck out front. And he apparently got to the driver's side and got in, and she ran around the front bumper to get into the passenger side, and they drove off. I was heading out to go get something to eat, and I was tired. So
So this
that's where I
is
went.
just to recap, this is around, but this is between 5:30 and 6 p.m. ish Mountain Time when he sees
I
these
think,
individuals. Go
well, I
ahead.
got there. Yeah, I mean, between the trips to me going back and forth between my room, we're talking between 37, and then I think when I finally left or when I saw them was sometime just after 7, that they were leaving.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
was
So
heading
between
out.
a 2 hour window, like hour and a
Yeah.
half window. Okay. Okay. So that's great. That's great. So we'll just say for the sake of it, 6 p.m. is a good solid like indicator of a timeline. I'm trying to form a timeline here.
Sure.
Okay, so 6 p.m. Mountain Time is the first time he sees these individuals. We'll just round it up to that. Can you describe what the female looked like when you come back down and she's sitting with this guy? Um, Go ahead and describe what she looked like as much as you feel as you can.
You know, I think of, I've described her pretty well already with Candace Owens. She had a sheen to her, like she was really well put together, blonde ponytail. Um, and it was the eyes that sort of struck me, that focused in on things. I think we're gonna leave it at that for now, and uh, let Candace Owens have
Okay,
the
that's
rest of
fine.
that for now.
Okay, okay. Um, did you recognize either one of those individuals?
No, no, they just stood out. You
Okay.
could tell that they weren't like in army uniforms, or they weren't in PT uniforms like the rest of the guests that were there at that time. They weren't sitting in the dining facility. They looked
No, you
professional.
can
They
see
looked,
you can tell affluence when you see it, right? Manicured eyebrows,
yeah,
manicured nails. When you say they have a sheen to them, I imagine you're talking about when he says how well they're put together. You know, they are. They're all of the lines are lined up everywhere. You know what I mean.
the
The wrinkles are taken care of. Like, um, am I?
I'm surprised though he didn't open the door for her. She had to open her own door.
why
Oh,
is that?
that's a
Uh,
good catch. That's a
I
good catch.
had to that I had to
Uh,
open the door for.
no,
Well,
no, no, no. He's talking about when she got into the truck. You said that they left in a truck together. You didn't. You said that she jumped in the
oh
passenger side. He didn't get the door for her. So I think that's interesting catch, Noxie. I didn't catch that.
gosh, all the things that I don't even catch. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but
Well, I mean, we can't speak for this guy. All right, so you remember in pretty good detail what those guys were. Then you went ate. Where did you go eat?
uh, there's not many places to eat in Sierra Vista. I mean, maybe there is. I just off post there was, of all the places, I go by a Mexican sushi place. Uh, I don't know if I shared that picture with you or not, but I forget the name. It was like Taki Maki or something like that. Um, I'd never seen a Mexican sushi place in my life, but it was one of the only places open. So I went down in there, and of all the things I got, was a steak. It was actually pretty good. Had a good little dinner while I was talking with Amy here, and went back on post. Went back to the hotel. It was a little bit hard to find at night, but got back there and had a good night's sleep. Got up early in the next morning. Is that? You want me to keep going?
No,
Yeah,
my mute button got stuck. It was weird. Sorry
Okay.
about that. No, you're right. You're right. So you go have something to eat, sushi. Do you not see these guys the rest of the evening? Then after you get back, you go eat.
No.
And let me just say, the first time that you talked about that, there is a Mexican sushi place where he says it was, and it actually has really good reviews. Anybody can Google this. Just look for Mexican sushi near Candlewood Suites at Fort Huachuca. And then it should pop up if you expand the search a little bit. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Sounds terrible, but I'll take your word for it. And he ate steak.
No, they're actually wonderful. Yeah. I know it sounds terrible. I think that's why I went, but no, they were really sweet. They're wonderful there. Give them a great review. No, I had a good dinner there. And yeah, I went back. I didn't see when I got back. It was dark. It's really hard to negotiate that post in the dark. It's not real well lit, and so getting back was a little bit weird. Couple wrong turns, and then finally I found the place. And yeah, I sat in my hotel room there, talking with Amy until I fell asleep that night.
Did you get stopped at all as you were navigating, attempting to find your way around on base the first day?
No, not at all. No, I mean, as long as you're not. I mean, they've got pretty restrictive speed limits there. Like I think it's 15 miles an hour a lot of the time. So
But
as long as you're,
you weren't so conspicuous. Well, there's a reason why I'm asking you. You weren't so conspicuous that the MPs, which are now I know are actually contracted out private securities on our U.S. military bases these days, as a whole nother space.
Mm.
It's concerning. That's concerning. But you weren't acting so conspicuous that they were harassing you or demanding you show your papers or why you were there the first night that you were there, correct? On September the 8th of 2025.
Not at all. No, they're very helpful at the gate. If anything, they were helpful, trying to tell me where to go. They take your card if you have a military ID card, like I do. They just scan you in and check it to make sure that you're not on probably some watch list or something. But no, they scan you right in. They were very helpful at the gate, as best they could be, and no, there was no problems.
Amazing. All right, so here's what we'll do. I'm going to stop here, and if anybody has questions, let me just say this. I'm going to preface this. Maybe if you weren't in the space already, on the panel, that is. If you have any questions about his first day there, particularly the hotel visit, as when I was asking him to describe the female, and he says, I'm going to wait on that. I have a deal with Mitch. If there's something about one of the named individuals or an event that is being, there's more possibly to be revealed, or he's not quite ready to share yet, or he doesn't feel comfortable sharing, we're not going to harangue him about it. He doesn't have to explain himself. All he has to say is, I'm not ready to comment. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for questions for Mitch real quick regarding the first day. And don't ask anything about the 9th yet. We're going to work our way there. We're going to stop right here. Noxie, you're my co-host. I'm going to let you go first.
I'm not sure if you would be willing to answer this, Mitch, but did you notice any rings on the female?
I'm going to say no comment at this time.
You got it. Okay. It was worth a
Well,
try.
I
I had
want
to
to answer it,
try.
but
You got to give it to me for trying.
Go ahead.
no, you're fine. I get it.
The no comments just as juicy anyways. We like it. Let's go. Go ahead, Lemaire.
And I respect it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask really quick, did you happen to get a make and model of the vehicle that you saw the two individuals jump into?
It looked like it was possibly a GMC. like a green tinge to it. In the light, it was a little bit hard to see exactly what shade of green it was, whether it was darker or a little bit lighter green. But it looked to me, it came off as a GSA vehicle. And the way I qualify that is they have it wasn't like civilian raised, like it wasn't raised like a foot or two off the ground. It was raised within the limits that the GSA has for their vehicles, but it was very shiny. It was very nice. It wasn't their regular like sign out vehicle that they give to every troop to go, put dents in and scrape up going through bushes and stuff like that. But it,
Like maybe something they would let an
yeah, it was
officer use.
yeah.
And then one last question. This is just a bona fides question, and I don't blame you if you don't have it, but did you happen to retain the either reservation for the hotel or the receipt of your stay in
Oh, yeah.
building?
Yeah, that's some of the first things that we provided Candace Owens.
Okay.
We got receipts for the hotel, the rental car,
Mitch,
the check-in time.
Well, I'll talk to you about it later. Actually, I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I had right now. Diligent. Hey, Mitch, sorry you're going through it, man. I appreciate you making the time to do this.
Hey, Lemaire, did you
No.
notice Lemaire is also former? Well, you're always military, I guess, but Lemaire, you want to tell him what you did real quick?
Yeah. So my first MOS in the U.S. Army was 68 Whiskey 1 Papa, airborne combat medic, and then I was wounded in Fallujah. I went to intel school there on Fort Huachuca 35 series. So familiar with the area. Everything you're saying checks out 1,000%.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for your service. You're a real hero. Everybody should thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lemaire. Yeah, Lemaire's great. He comes up and offers his experience regularly whenever we're talking about military related or operation related information. And he's a gem in spaces, let me tell you. And
He's my favorite Fed.
he is my favorite Fed as well too. Yeah, that's what I like to say. He's my favorite Fed.
Yes, in full transparency, I was in the IC. I was a 0132 intel officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he and I don't want to get sidebarred into the attacks on you, but he also noted, and I'm a civilian, I am a layman, and I was like, Lemaire, there's something going on here, and he's like, yeah, I see it. He's like, I see the coordinated attack. There is somebody's too close to the sun, because they are frantic. They were panicked, and we had a few conversations about that. So thank you, Lemaire. Let's go to Sam Parker. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mitch, I got a couple questions at this point. Number one, have you been back in contact with the hotel since then?
No, I don't think. I think we were going to get in contact with the hotel because I was supposed to stay there another night. We were going to try and get a refund, but we've just been so preoccupied with other things. No, we haven't. Left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So no, we haven't.
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Second question. So as I was saying earlier, I was looking at maybe doing a FOIA request because it's on base, but it's my understanding that the hotel is actually owned and run by a private company, so it wouldn't be subject to any FOIA requests. Can you comment on whether you know that to be true or what your feeling is on that? And then as a follow-up to that,
what would
if
the
that's the
scope of
case,
said FOIA request be if you could do one, Sam?
camera footage, reservations, check-ins, I don't know, whatever records they have, perhaps, around those two dates. And then the other question I would have is, based on your knowledge of the base and, your recent visit there, what maybe could we FOIA request like near the hotel that might be able to, is there anything in or around there that could be?
Let me save you a little bit of time. Slick Dog, who is one of our subscribers, I should say.
Uh-huh.
He submitted a FOIA on January, is it 4th, Noxie? A really good one. He's an attorney. If you scroll down my timeline, it's on my profile. It's in the last few days. You might have to go down like a day or two. But he
What
said,
did he FOIA?
so he FOIA'd any records pertaining to the presence only of either of 4 named individuals, and he didn't limit the scope. He said, I didn't want any logs, I didn't want any of this. I just want any records that would indicate the presence of, and I'm paraphrasing here, and I realize that's important when you're talking about FOIAs, but I'm paraphrasing because he was very specific in a way that it wouldn't get shut down. He asked for any records indicating the presence of Mark Amaday, Erica Kirk, Cabot Phillips, and or Brian Harpole from the dates range of September 1st through September 10th, and at the base. And this would be including but not limited to maybe a sign in from at the gate. It could be surveillance, it could be anything, but he was very clear to not like subject it limit, to anything that might hinder security or etc. Like if you scroll my timeline, you'll see it. I posted like I do my video montages, but in the replies is the actual raw FOIA as well. So I'm not saying you
Gotcha.
shouldn't do
Okay.
one, but I'm saying we did do one in that regard.
Sure. Well, we'll just sit back and wait on that. Probably want to amend it or add in like Eddie Farnsworth now too, right? Perhaps.
Well, maybe maybe a new FOIA, that would
Yeah.
increase that would definitely illustrate public interest, right? I think there's a lot of, and that was the premise of the FOIA itself, was public interest, a massive public interest. So I think if you send in another FOIA similar to that one, maybe worded in the way since we had an attorney do it, and you
Right.
swapped out the names, maybe you could
Sure.
get something.
Yeah. Now, my last question at this point for Mitch. Mitch, at what point did you, in this whole saga, did you have like, I don't know, maybe oh shit moment where you realized maybe you know something you're not supposed to, maybe you realize you're
I
starting to
don't
put
think
some
we're quite
pieces
there
together?
yet. I want to keep it.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
doing this. So I'm doing like a timeline. Like we're right now, we're at the end of the first night that he was there, and I want to keep it there without getting ahead of ourselves. That's what I mean by
If you
that.
don't mind, you're asking me what I thought about that stuff. Candace Owens asked those same questions, and I said, go for it, get it. Gave her the times, places, what to request. I thought, as far as the limitations on those requests or who would provide them, I have no idea. No, go for it, get it. That'd be great.
I wonder since, well, there might be a creative way to do this since you were there and you're facing harassment as a result of your presence there. You might be able to request some kind of evidence from the hotel. As a matter of fact, if somebody ends up being in some kind of lawsuit over this, the hotel records might be subject to subpoena, especially since you were being slandered about what you said. I don't know. I'm just creative thinking out loud there. Not trying to make anybody get nervous who might be listening. Mitch, I think Destiny's got one more question about tonight. And let me ask, are you okay for time? Are we good for like maybe another 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, we're good. We got there's something I think in about a half hour we're supposed to go do, but no, you guys got me. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Mitch. Go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, no, I just wanted, and nice to meet you, Mitch, by the way. I, uh, I'm actually from Washington State, from Vancouver, so further south from you. But
Hmm.
I wanted to know some details about the exchange with the car situation with the guy that you saw and the woman. So you're saying that he got in the car first. What did he at some point get up, go out, and get the car and bring it around front or something like? How did that happen? Where it's I'm just trying to get the timeline here of. Was it already parked out front, or where did you see the car that they got into?
Boy, all these questions. My concentration was actually on my woman right here. Trying to assure her that I was just fine. Going back and forth to my room. I didn't see them pull the vehicle up. I don't know if somebody pulled it up for them. What I saw was coming back out and looking through the foyer there, is where I was seeing the guy get into the driver's seat and the woman coming around the front bumper and opening up the. I think actually somebody did push the door open for her because it sort of seemed open, and then she jumped up onto the footstep and then into the truck. I wasn't there stalking people, so it wasn't. It's not like
Are you
things.
sure, Mitch? Are you sure you weren't stalking anybody?
Lamar,
Maybe they were stalking him. You never know.
Uh,
Lamar has told us a little bit about the training that some of you guys go through with being able to recognize details and pay attention to details in your surroundings. Have you been through that?
various. I mean, I think there's a lot of MOSs that do. When I went into Special Forces training, there's some of that. You want to be able to. I think they prepare you in a lot of MOSs to be witnesses to things because they count, especially in Special Forces, they count on you to be an observer in a foreign country, and they count on you to be accurate. For me, I think Special Forces also. It's not so much that they train you; they select you for certain qualities you already have, and at least back in my day, they did. For what I've done in the last 25 years, it's I've had everything from people coming through my bedroom windows with knives to police that just show up in the middle of the night, flashing their lights and taking off or follow me around town. It's basically provoked a way of living for me. I live small and I stay aware of my surroundings. When people are strange, we try to keep distance.
So it's kind of like you're always in this state of hypervigilance because of your experiences.
Yeah, you guys call it hypervigilance. I just, sure. Yeah, I pretty much stay at that state. Amy can.
Oh, I mean, I do. At this
I
point,
imagine so. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and you stay aware of the people. With what happened the next day, especially.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next day, Mitch.
Sure.
So can you describe and if you can, and I am going to ask you in as much detail as possible, and maybe close your eyes and visualize. And I know that sounds woo woo, but it does help.
Mhm.
If you can describe your morning pretty much in as much detail as you can, like you get up, you get around, you go down for coffee, do you have breakfast, what time do you think it is, etc. If you can kind of go like that, maybe like you're recanting for a deposition or whatever, and I might pause and ask you questions if you don't mind. Can
Mhm.
you just kind of describe the following day on the morning of the 9th?
Sure. I mean, yeah, if I can be just frank about
Speak freely, sir,
what
please.
my mindset is yeah, I had a good night's sleep. I was actually really impressed with the mattresses there. I wanted to know what kind of mattresses so that we could I needed a mattress like that back at home. And I woke up calling Amy here just to let her know I'm still okay and everything's fine. I was getting up early and woke her up early uh for her. She was going to work. And we sat there talking to each other back and forth as we both, did our bathroom stuff, got dressed. And it was just, I was really trying to get out before the crack of dawn. Um, I wanted to see the sunrise in the desert and stuff. And even though I don't like being down there, it's one of those things people do. And I wanted to reminisce and Amy couldn't be there with me. She typically travels with me and we travel together and we have a great time doing it. So I wanted her to experience it. So I was recording almost constantly there that night before and then also the next day.
When you say recording, you mean you're taking selfie videos, you're taking selfie pictures, you're sending them to her, you're just kind of documenting everything that you can, like you would if she was there so you can share the memories with her?
Yeah, exactly. Selfies, videos. Yeah. And anytime I was,
This is really important bit of the story for those of you who are really paying attention. I'm telling you crucial times to pay attention to details for this, because we're not going to know everything, because there are some that has not been revealed yet, but there are certain details to pay attention to during this interview, because they are very significant to who was there and how we know they were there. Go ahead, continue, Mitch. I'm sorry. So he's taking selfies to share with his girlfriend or wife. I'm not sure. I think it's girlfriend. Um,
girlfriend, yeah.
yeah,
I wish I could get
girlfriend.
divorced. We're living in sin now. So there's that too. If everybody wants that.
Hey, Utah's only a state away if you become Mormon. I heard that maybe it's no, never mind. I'm just kidding. Just
Go
kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
there.
Just about. Just about. All right. So you are taking a lot of selfies. You said that you're gonna head out to the desert or try to see a desert sunrise. So you're out early. What time would you say that was? That you left the hotel on the morning
It
of the
was like
9th?
5. It was like 5:30 in the morning. Sun was just about to start cracking up, I think. And yeah, I was talking with Amy and also recording while I drive and telling her about the post. And uh, specifically, there's one. I mean, I've often told this story about being on that post back then, that the Huachuca Mountains are honeycombed, so they have these incredible. It's an incredible cave system that they have. I think it's one of the largest unmapped cave systems in the world. But back then, a bunch of us had discovered a cave opening next to, on the way up to one of the parks there. And we went into it way back when, and I've told this story a bunch of times. It was pretty incredible to go into caves. If you've never done it, it's
I
it's
love
sort
it.
of a thing.
I love nature, hiking, caves, wilderness. I'm all about it. So,
Yeah, you go
um,
in plunking in the deep dark. It's a different experience. But yeah, I was hoping to find the entrance to that cave again, just to take pictures of it and say, "Hey, see, I told you it was here." And
and then
also,
how, if you don't mind, real quick, how far from like the mainstay of buildings, like the office buildings, the officer buildings, or the administration buildings at Fort Huachuca is the Candlewood Suites? Like, if you had to guess, just, and maybe wherever you else you went. Like, if you said that you went looking for this stuff, but how far away from the how far away from the hotel did you travel?
oh, again, it's a little bit deceptive there because you're in the desert and it's hard. It's like got this rolling sort of geography to it. Um, so I went up to, I mean, if I step back here, go up to this park, I talked to somebody that was walking there. I think it was a female. She ended up telling me she was a retired sergeant major. She comes there every morning to walk and stuff. We had a little talk. I go up, I take a few pictures up there, and I came back down. Uh, I didn't see many. I say I didn't see many troops out there doing PT like they used to when I was there. I was a little bit curious about that. I did see one guy standing out there as a guard, so I ended up going up talking to him. And as I did, a police officer, one of the police officers showed up. I ended up having a conversation with him, and I had been recording the whole time and not really paying attention to it, so it's not a great video. Uh, but yeah, I talked with him. I was asking where CID was. I was asking, telling him that I had to talk to some people there. He gave me some really bad directions, and I tried to follow them as best I could. So I wandered around trying to
Were
find
you
this.
still taking selfies and stuff like that during this whole what you're describing, asking directions, talking to the woman,
Uh,
traveling around the base after you left the hotel? You're still taking the selfies and recording and videos for your girlfriend at the time, correct?
oh, absolutely, yeah. And she was
Hmm.
afraid I was going to go missing down there, and I wanted to Yeah, we wanted if
Document
something
Were
everything,
happened,
you
baby. I
doing that
love
in the
it. I
hotel as
love it.
well?
yes. So pretty much the whole time I was there, and if we weren't on video, then yeah, I was trying to video and take pictures, and I was how do you want to put it? Yeah, I was trying to make sure that because we've had so many strange instances and interactions with authorities, especially trying to get records or trying to report about any of the stuff that's going on in my life. Yeah, I wanted her to be able to have some sort of record of, hey, start looking here. So yeah, that's sort of what I was doing, and then trying to find the directions that this guy gave me. The buildings they're unusual buildings down there. They're old, like World War II buildings built on top of Alamo type buildings, and yeah, I couldn't find the CID that he was talking about.
What's a CID for our people who I don't know what it means either? Can you, for those of us who are adjacent or
Yeah.
part of the military, can you?
That's that's a criminal investigation division. So if you have like MPs, this would be like probably the equivalent of detectives slash internal investigations type.
And I'm going to
Sort of
refresh
next
everybody's
level.
memory. Mitch went down there to retrieve records from a criminal investigation that occurred subsequent to him finding a cartel tunnel near the base, way back when in his early days of his military career. So I just want to throw that out there. Just refresh everybody why he's actually there on base. And so when he's talking about going to the CID building, he's actually trying to retrieve copies of records pertaining to his history in that regard. Continue, Mitch. I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah, that's where we figured it would be best to start. Before you request records, you got to know who has the records, type of thing, and that would have been the best place to start asking those questions. But not able to find the building that this police officer described. I did come across some other signs that said JTF, which very interesting. We didn't have those back then because I was on the original JTF 6 mission, and we didn't have any signs back then. We just had crappy barracks to stay in. And it made me realize that, wait a minute, they actually have a full, the mission continues type of thing, and I had no idea. So as I'm driving, we looked up that there was an actual new command. I think it was JTF Southern Border command had just started down there, and we were able to get just a few Google responses on that. And I was, well, that's pretty interesting. They would.
So you look for this building, it's not the right building, or it's not where you think it is. So you have to find this new kind of headquarters, or what you think is the new headquarters that you have to go to retrieve this record, right?
Yeah. And I went into a couple of these. I parked and went into a couple of these buildings, but nobody was in there. And I just figured it's early. People haven't shown up to work yet. They're probably out doing
How
PT or
many?
something.
So I just to set the stage for what's going to happen here later. Nick is looking for this records building, the CID building, and they're shuffling stuff around in these office and officer and administrative buildings down at the base in Fort Huachuca where he's looking. So he got some wrong directions a couple of times. He's going to these buildings; they're not the right ones, or they're empty, etc. And so he is trying over and over again to find this particular building. Go ahead, continue, Mitch.
Yeah, and there wasn't really a visitor center. I couldn't find anything where I could ask questions. So in my frustration, I figured it's a little bit early. I need coffee. I like coffee. They actually have a pretty good coffee place just off of there, just outside of the post. So I think initially I tried to set in coffee, and it tried to direct me back to Tucson, to the Starbucks at Tucson.
This whole time you're using your Google Maps?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So
Continue.
it drove me off post one way, and I realized that, wait, it's trying to send me back to Tucson. So I had to turn back around, come back onto post, and then go off the other side and go to find the coffee place that was there in Sierra Vista. Off the top of my head, I forget what the name was. A little clever name. When I got there, I noticed that there were some guys in uniform in their BDUs, and they were 10th Mountain. 10th Mountain is, the only reason they're down there that I used to know is the only reason we would come back there from 10th Mountain is to be part of the JTF 6 mission. So I started a
And what's
conversation with them.
JTF, Mitch?
Joint Task Force. So,
and what's the Joint Task Force?
that's typically when the military gets combined with other agencies, law enforcement,
Anytime
other.
the feds are working at the local, federal, interagency, like different branches of the military, different agencies like intelligence, FBI, CIA, DHS, etc. Right? ATF,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like
Whenever they're collaborating together, correct?
it's a collaborating command based upon a certain mission. So, yeah, the one back that I was part of, 35 years ago, that was one of the first joint task forces that were, I think it was in the States and on the border specifically for that type of mission. I mean, there's previous joint task forces in general that were like in South America and whatnot. But this, when you start working within the United States, you have restrictions in the use of military, and that's why you have this joint task force that will have elements that, for instance, they needed the military element back then for our sensor capabilities or detection capabilities, but we were restricted. We couldn't confront like immigrants or conduct a raid or anything like that. We would have to pass that off to authorities that have jurisdiction, for instance, the Border Patrol. And that's how that happened back then. So coming back to this last September there, when I see the JTF, we look it up. I go to coffee. I talk to these guys. And as we're talking, I'm buying them coffee and thanking them for their service. And I'm reminiscing about, how JTF came to be back then. And we're talking back and forth. And they said, yeah, you can go ask questions at this other building, Thunder Valley something. And I said, great, thank you. Ended up leaving there, going back on post. I asked the gate guard there as they were running my ID, where this building is, where I can start asking questions. Is there going to be anybody there? And they were really helpful. And they said, yeah. They were very, very hospitable. He told me directly where to go, and it was a little bit of a spin around in the desert there, going down the side of this, this slope. But yeah, I eventually found this building. There wasn't anything real particular. I think it used to be a theater or something. So it was off on its own a little bit.
Did it have a sign on it or anything? Was it busy? Was there anybody stationed outside? Anything like that?
No,
Anything of note that you can describe as you approach the building?
No, if anything, it was a little bit blank, to be honest with you. The only thing that stood out to me is in the grass area, sort of around the building, they had this concertina wire strung out.
What's that? What's Constantino wire?
Barbed wire, round barbed wire, that they had strung out. But the parking lot itself had no gate guard. There was vehicles parked inside. There was no signs. There was nothing to indicate what it was. There was nothing that said stay out or go in or anything like that. I was wondering if this was the right building. So I was making sure that that's what it was on the
There was no
Google.
signage on it whatsoever either?
No, there wasn't anything.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So there was a parking lot, like you could park on the side, and then there was also parking in front and behind that parking lot was also like some park benches that had what do you call a little structure over the top of them for shade. I would say there was, I don't know, maybe 30 cars there. Didn't seem particularly busy. They had a lot of parking. It was easy. Parked in front. I was talking with Amy, telling her, okay, if I go in here and start asking questions and they actually can take my interview or anything, I'm probably going to be out of contact for a while. Just letting her know I was okay and I was at that building. So yeah, I parked, talked to her for a minute, grabbed my backpack, had my documents with me, had passports, IDs, files that showed who I was from, birth on, my records, any IDs that I've had even during a name change, so that you could see who I was by photo, beforehand with my passports as well as afterward. So yeah, I walked in and there was there wasn't a huge presence. I think a couple of uniformed officers, lieutenant colonel and a captain came walked past. I wasn't dressed. Yeah, I was dressed really casually.
T-shirt, jeans, hoodie. What do you got on?
I don't know. I had black shirts, black polo, black shorts, hey dudes. And my ball
Looking
cap.
very white, Mitch. Looking very white going into this building. Continue.
I was reflecting the sun very well, yeah. So I brought my Washington white with me, yeah. Yeah, it's warm down there, so it was nice. But yeah, I go in and the building is, you have the front doors, then you have it's not necessarily a narrow hallway, but they had racks on the left side where people were leaving their BDU caps and maybe bags and stuff. Just beyond that, there was a podium. On the right side, there was like a room, almost like a commander's room or something. After the podium, it's sort of a T intersection of a building. They had some flags in the background there to the left. The two guys at the front desk, there was I think an E4 and E5 that were there.
Like a reception area? Is it?
Yeah,
Is it like a little bit of like an office lobby? Are there chairs, waiting chairs? Like what is?
Yeah, it looked like it was a quickly put together temporary. It looked like they were in transition of some type, which matched what we found online about it. But yeah, there was a podium. There was two guys standing there. It was a reception area. They had a sign-in log. So I went up and I introduced myself and I said what missions I had
And
been.
if you real quick, around what time would you say it is that you were in this building? If you don't mind, it's really important that you came up to the entrance.
I gave Candace Owens our call records for the exact time, but yeah, it was just after 7:30 that I was walking in there, and
so 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Around then is when you approached the building and went in. Go ahead, continue. I don't need to. I believe you. You're good.
Call log, right? Yeah. It was about 7:30. I think we have the exact time on the call logs. So yeah,
I don't need the exact time. It's just for our listeners. And if I need to drop receipts for this later on, we can the receipts are coming. Continue. Go ahead, Mitch. Continue.
Yeah, so I go up and I talk to these guys and I said I'm probably going to need to talk to somebody that has a little bit of gray hairs and a little bit of rank, because the records I would be looking for and requesting when I have to report on is pretty damn old by this point. And they went and ended up getting a captain for me really quick. He came out, we went into the room, and for a few, about 10 minutes or so, we discussed what I was there for. And he said, oh, well, we're going to have to get like force security or something like that for me to speak to. So he went, he left me at the podium. he went to go get someone, and while I'm there, the guy that I'd seen the night before passes by me, and
Passes by you
he
leaving or entering the building.
leaving. He came from around the corner to the right.
So you're facing the podium trying to go in or talk to him about records, and this guy is exiting, and he has to face you to exit.
Yeah. He
How was
walks
he?
right by me. And,
If you don't mind, real quick,
Mhm.
how was he
Go ahead.
dressed?
He had, boy, if I remember, he had like sort of khaki pants on. He had black boots,
The
a
same boots
polo
that he had
shirt.
on the night before.
No,
Okay.
different.
Okay.
So, and he had that strike to me that, just based off of what I had seen before, that he was. I took him for maybe somebody that was doing security work for somebody important. And he walked out with an officer out the vestibule there, out the doors. And then as he did, and I was looking over at him, I almost walked up. I was going to ask him, I was going to ask him the same questions I was the night before. But all of a sudden, three more people came with a few officers, and a lot of officers started appearing in uniform behind them. I noticed the rank on a lot of them was, there were a few captains, a few majors, and then lieutenant colonels, and it seemed like quite the entourage. And the three people that came out, one of them had the congressional pin and and an American flag and another flag with it.
They were all kind of pouring out after the person. So let me just real quick. The first person you saw leaving past you was the same individual that you had observed at the hotel you were at with the female the previous night, the nights of September the 8th, correct?
Yes.
And so, following him out, you start to see all of these other high brass individuals, people of various upper rank, officer ranks, captain, lieutenant colonel, etc. And then you notice an individual who had a congressional pin on. And go ahead, continue.
All right. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So sorry.
You're good. You're good.
We
I was
gotta
just
try and call
recapping
it
for our
in.
audience.
So
Yeah, yeah,
sorry
yeah,
about
yeah.
that, people.
No, you're good. You're good, brother. You're good. Continue. So,
Yeah,
congressional
these
pin.
three.
That's where you were at.
Yeah, so these three gentlemen came in around the corner, coming around me, and I was sort of, I was obviously sort of in their way. So I had to step back and, with my back against the wall of the podium there, and just being polite, watching them go by. And yeah, I didn't recognize them right then, but I noticed certain features about each one of them. They were definitely in a conversation with each other. The other two gentlemen that were walking with them were definitely trying to play up. I don't want to say schmooze the congressman, and he
Kissing
went.
ass, kissing ass. We all
Yeah,
know what
there
it
you
looks
go.
like.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah, there we go. But yeah, they were definitely in conversation there. They didn't. They sort of walked past all of the military. They were very stoic. They didn't really interact with the military there at all. It was almost
Did they
like they were in
side
their
eye
own
you
world.
much? Did you lock eyes with any of these individuals? If so,
No, I looked right at them, but they were in their own world, their own little bubble, and whatever they were discussing.
and
I just happened to know
how close in proximity to you where you were standing? You said that you had to actually move out of their way. So as they
that.
passed you, and I want you to start with the very first one. How close in proximity were they to you as they approached you and you're facing them face head on? How close in proximity to them were you, if you had to guess, feet wise?
Oh, the VIP that was there, probably within arm's reach. The the other two were, they were all shoulder to shoulder walking out. Um,
So all within a
so
few feet.
a few feet. Yeah.
Okay. So you got a really good gander at their faces as they left the building.
Yeah, and I was sort of, sort of getting the idea that maybe I walked into a dog and pony show, new command, who knows what's going on there, that I might recognize somebody. So I was taking a gander and at, also just trying to be polite and not something I wanted to get involved in.
This is after you were waiting, after you had talked for like a few minutes with a captain about
Mm-hmm.
why you were there and the extent of your search and the you know the length of time it had been, the time span it had been. During that conversation, and this is, I think, an important detail, during that conversation with that captain, before these people had passed you, did he indicate that you were in the wrong place?
No, he actually. I mean, I think he was surprised by what I was reporting. I think it was probably something he wasn't used to, maybe. But no, he indicated that he knew exactly who I should talk to. With force protection. So I was waiting on that for the most part.
So here we are. It is now approaching, I want to say, probably 8 a.m. Because you've been there for 30 minutes. And, of course, there's some play in the timeline here for our listeners. Don't get hung up on the details. He's given these receipts to Candace. If we need a precise timeline, we can get those later. I can get them. But I'm just estimating here, right? Just so we have a
Mhm.
general idea. So he gets into the building at 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time on the morning of the 9th. He sits there for, I want to say, about 10, 15 minutes talking to the reception and a captain, trying to relay what his purpose is there, what he's looking for, etc. And about after like 10, 15 minutes of being up front, this party of individuals passes him. It involves high level military brass that is from rank captain, officer, all the way up to lieutenant colonel, etc., and one congressman. The congressman, other than, we've been through it with his face, so we don't need to go to that. Is there anything distinct about the congressman that you can tell us? Remember what color suit he was wearing, how tall he was, his stature? Was he fat? Was he in good shape? Anything like that you can share with us?
Yeah, these gentlemen were all taller than me, a little bit taller than me. The congressman was a little bit shorter than the other two, but they were sort of. I mean, that was sort of hard to tell because they were sort of
How
like
tall are you,
hunched
Mitch?
shouldered in there. And I'm 5'8.5" or so.
Okay, so you're not like a behemoth.
No, no.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I was going in there to
Yeah, you're not
name
there.
names. Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't there to surveil the place. So I understand that.
No.
I'm still just gonna ask you as many. I'm just trying to get as many details as
Yeah.
I can out of you. You know what? This is my
Um,
job. This is my job.
Diligent, do
yeah.
you mind if I ask him just a really quick question?
Go ahead.
So, as the congressional delegation is leaving, did the
Mhm.
lower enlisted or anyone call the area to attention as those senior officers were passing?
No, I thought that was a little bit weird. No, it was almost like they had already been probably gone through that process. There were a lot of officers going in and out with that process, so that it was more of an open, like T intersection of a hallway. I don't, no, I don't recall them doing anything like that, but they were casually leaving.
Okay, thanks.
You did
Yeah. So
mention that there was a congressional pin and then the United States flag pin, and then you mentioned another flag pin. Do you know what the other flag was?
No comment. Yeah, it was
Got
like
us
one of
again.
those dual flags. Dual flags. It was a dual flag. It had. We'll
so
just
the
leave it
pin
that.
the pin the pin had a dual flag on it.
Hey,
And which
it's okay to
hold
say
on, hold on,
Israel,
hold on,
bro.
no, don't do it, Glenn. Hold on. Just wait. Uh, the dual flags, he means a double flag, right? So it would be a matching flag that's crisscrossed, but it's the same flag. It's not. It's like one pin that has two of the same flags on it. Am I right? I don't mind asking you what it is, but am I right about
One,
is like
yeah,
a
one pin, two flags. They're both flags are
matching
facing opposite directions type. Yeah.
and matching, like they crisscrossed against each other, correct? Like they would
Yes.
be if you had two flagpoles, like when you cross swords. Okay, yep.
So
So
two different flags or two of
they're
the
the
same
same
flag?
flags, Noxie. They're the same flags. You
That's
already
what I
said it.
was trying to understand.
Okay, well, that's what I was explaining. Hold on. So,
I think
I'm sorry.
But
Go ahead,
are were
Mitch.
they in the American flag?
He's not answering yet. He's not answering that. Just hold on.
Well, that's a yes or no
So,
question.
well, he said no comment, right? He said no comment. He doesn't
If it's
want
an American
to.
flag, is no comment. Was that the question? The question was
When
it
it
an
came
American
to the
flag? No comment.
specifics of what the flag were, let me help you. Okay, I made a deal with Mitch. Whenever we hit an area, hold on. Whenever we hit an area where he wasn't ready to disclose the information yet, and he said no comments, that is something that we are going to leave in purgatory and address it later. And I promised him we would not harp on him when he did it, and he's only done it twice now. But it's very significant about the details that it's happening with. And I would just advise everybody listening, including my speakers, to take note. All right.
I'm
Mitch,
still getting myself
Sorry,
a body
I
count.
just want to be real clear because I missed the initial setup to the question. Was the no comment to the question? Was it an American flag pin? Was that what the no comment was to?
it was to what kind of flag was it?
Okay,
He had an
so
American flag, he had a congressional pin, and then he had a dual
oh,
flag.
okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me be really clear. They had two pins. One was a congressional pin, and then the other pin was a combination of two flags where it's one pin, but it has two flags, sort of like a joint.
Were the flags matching or were they different? Each flag on the one that's a double flag. Are they
I would
matching or
say
are they different?
one was the United States flag, the other was something else.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. That's what
That's
we're
what I
trying to
was
get there.
getting at, Dilly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I
All right.
called it. Hey, could I ask him a really quick question, man?
Would you
Yes.
stop,
All right,
Wait,
please?
hold on,
it's
I
hold
so
on.
sorry.
Let me hold on. Mitch, are you good for time? Sorry, I muted everybody, Mitch, because they were all talking at once. You have to unmute your microphone, and it might be glitched too. Sorry, you guys. Uh, as soon as you can, Mitch, unmute your microphone. I want to know how good we are for time. We're at the most important part, I think, of this conversation so far. Unmute your microphone, Mitch. Try to hit the mic button.
There it is. Finally. Oh, I had
Yeah,
to.
mute glitch. Yeah, Elon, if you're listening, bro, please fix the mute glitch. The delay
That
is,
was the
is killing
congressional
us.
Benny Garcia. Yeah. I am so sorry. I told somebody I would be calling this, so they're wondering where I am. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Do we
So
have
yeah,
do we have do we have 15 minutes?
you're saying, oh yeah.
I'm going with what your girlfriend says, man. I'm sorry about your luck, but it's obvious who's running the show here. So all due respect,
uh,
Mitch, we're gonna have to go with what the woman says. I'm just kidding.
And it is
you're
thanks to
writing
Amy
checks,
that
babe.
he did document all of this.
Hey, Amy, you have been a trooper. You are a hero. Mitch is a hero. I just want to thank you for your courage and for his courage and supporting him. I know that this is not easy. I have been through the ringer on this. Other people on this stage understand what it's like to come under this kind of heat whenever you are aware of or in the vicinity of information that very powerful people do not want to get out. We understand what that's like, and we really, really appreciate everything that you are doing. And you guys are patriots, so just thank you. I want to say thank you. Let her
Thank you for
respond,
that.
son.
I will tell you, he doesn't get enough credit, guys. And I'll tell you, for me, I've been going through this for 2.5 decades or more. I don't have a choice in this. I am who I am. I did the things I did. I'm inconvenient to a lot of things. I've been under this pressure. For the people that choose to stick next to me and be in my life to go through this, she's the real hero, and I'll tell you that hands down. She has a choice. I don't. I've just got to. This is just what I have to do. But Amy, the first thing I told her, go ahead, tell him.
Yeah, he told me to run. I said it's not going to happen. We're going to get through this. That was years ago.
I don't think she ever imagined
Oh, I never.
all the things that we've been through, but
No, but I couldn't ask for a better person to go through it with.
oh, now
God
you're
bless
just
you.
yeah, you're just trying to get some fun time later tonight. Okay,
God bless
Well,
you
I owe it
both.
to you.
Just about.
All right, just
So
a
I
quick
think,
question.
yeah, go ahead, Clint.
Go.
All right, Mitch. I've been wanting to ask this of you for the longest time. So, as you said, you're not in there trying to surveil the place or anything, but you seem to have, just a unbelievable memory for these things. Was there something notable about? I mean, other than the fact that there was high brass people there, was there something notable that made you kind of data bank all this information, and or do you just have a phenomenal recall ability? Like, why do you remember the details as well as you do? Because just speaking for everybody else, I would imagine I don't have the type of memory that I would be like, I was at, an airport and I saw XYZ. It's remarkable. So I think it challenges us to be like, can he really remember all these details? Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
I'll let Amy answer that.
He has a photographic memory. He can recall dates, times, people, places. It
Okay.
locks away. It's like a tape recorder.
All right.
I've
Well,
been like
that's
this my whole
very
life.
helpful.
I don't know.
It's a gift. A gift and a curse, I guess you could say.
Yeah, gift. I would say a curse most of the time. I've been like this since I was a kid. My dad, who would involve himself in a lot of things, he always had to shut my mouth because if somebody asked me a question, I was going to give them the full detail of what kind of a tree it was, how many leaves it had, the colors of the leaves, which ones were different, how many branches there were, down to the types of creases in the tree, what it smelled like, what kind of sunlight was on it. And I don't know. I just have that. You call it a gift, call it a curse. I don't know. It's not perfect. When I was younger, it was really good. For now, this is just who I am. And when events happen,
After all the pushback you've received, are you still 95 to 99% sure that it was Erica Kirk present?
yeah, I'm going to stick by it. Again, I'm not. I might be gifted in some ways, but I'm not perfect.
Sure.
I just, this is who I am. This is what I saw.
I want to continue on the timeline before we get derailed, which is why I was making people wait to get questions. Because we haven't finished, and I don't want to. They're giving us their time. It's going on 2 hours now, and so I want to finish the timeline, and then we can wrap up with a few questions from the panel. I have a few questions, and we'll be quick about it. I'll be quick. A few questions from my audience that they were asked yesterday in a post that I made, and then we'll let him go, and then we can have a conversation about what we've heard tonight. So I'm going to recap where we're at. You are waiting for a captain to come back with either instructions or information regarding the records that you are there requesting at the desk of the reception area. As you are waiting for this captain to come back, the individual that you saw with who we purport to be Erica Kirk at the hotel the night previous walks past you, facing you within arm's reach almost, and then followed by other top brass, military brass, half a dozen or so individuals ranking anywhere from captain to lieutenant colonel. And you also notice an individual who is wearing a congressional pin alongside a American flag pin that has another flag next to it, a double crisscross pin next to his congressional pin on his lapel. Who else do you notice in the group as they walk by that is either a businessman or somebody who is not of the military or in military dress.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the testimony I've already given, but the person in the middle I really didn't get a good look at because he was sort of guarded on both sides by the other two. The other person on the end I got a good look at because he was looking back, he was looking over his left shoulder, like at the VIP congressman, and he was talking with his hands quite a bit, and you could tell he was like you said, sort of sucking up. And you could tell that they were trying to engage in a conversation with that
Which one
congressman.
did you
So
later identify as Brian Harpole, and where was he
the
within the group?
one that was furthest from me on the end is he was looking as he passed. He's looking like toward me and toward the congressman as he's passing and then going out. Yeah, that one very much so. The mannerisms, the way he talked, the way he used his hands, height, hair color, haircut, the glasses that he had propped on his head. Yeah.
What degree of certainty would you say that you are positive of who you saw that morning?
Oh man, all these, like, everybody, you guys walk around like with a percentage on your eyeballs. I would. It was very much like him. It was almost as certain as I can be. He has a very distinct type of face and a very, his bone structure and his cheeks and the mannerisms that he talked. It was, yeah, it was. I don't know how much more.
Do you and of course don't answer this if you don't want to. Did you hear any of the details of any of the conversation that they were having as they passed by you?
No, I was really not trying to. To be honest, I was trying to be polite and sort of step out of their way. Obviously, there was something important. They were important people going on. I was trying to just sort of fit into the background. I was waiting there.
I'm gonna push on you a little bit right here, okay? And not in a bad way. The individual who was hunkered between two of the, we'll call them guards, that you couldn't get a good look at. You said that you're 5'8". Was this individual taller or shorter than the people around him?
Yeah, all three of them were taller than me. The two on the right were slightly taller
Did you
than the
see any
congressman.
of the, was he in civvy clothes? Was he in officer uniform? If you can remember it all, the guy that you couldn't get a good look at.
He was in slacks and a polo. And I think they all were pretty much. The Harpool guy was also in a polo. And they seemed.
I sent you, if you don't mind, and I won't say any names, okay? So we'll keep it clean. I sent you a photo of an individual, and you said that you were going to talk to Candace about it. Have you talked to Candace about it yet? We won't say anything more than that. I'm going to ask if you have talked to her about the picture I sent you.
Yeah, I have sent that off to her. She's we've texted back and forth. She's gonna go through her process. She'll get back to me on that. As of now, we haven't.
So then I'm not gonna push you on it anymore. Then that's why I asked. All right, so we'll hang up there because that's an interesting. That's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother thing. Okay, so we've identified two people, right? Later on, you identify this as Brian Harpole. We know the story about how you did it. You saw him on TV or whatever. We can get into that at the end. I want to get through this meeting part and what you experienced that day. So we're gonna put a pin on IDing people for now. What happens after these people pass you? Go ahead, continue from there, please.
So a vehicle drives up, and again, I'm trying to wait at the front desk.
At the front desk, correct?
Yeah. Right as they approach the front doors, a black GMC, real shiny, shows up. The guy that was, in the hotel the night before, who is now standing out there, he ends up going to that vehicle. They all four start talking. The military is sort of, there's a few.
What four start talking? The guy from last night, and then who are the other three that are talking to him at the vehicle?
The other three are the ones that came out right after him, in a line. So it'd be the person I recognized that looks like Brian Harpool, the congressman, the guy in between. All three of them come out and met the other individual.
Okay.
So, and there were a few other, there were military that were sort of, they were escorting them out. Once they got into their vehicle, sort of, so as I'm waiting there, everything with me sort of stalled because obviously this entourage is going by. There were officers that were coming out. There was a lot of lieutenant colonels. Then the sergeant major. For me, I'm looking around at some of the military guys in here can confirm. We sort of look at people's patches. It's not just their rank. It's the, they got airborne, air assault, pathfinder. They have ranger tab, mountain tab, special forces.
Anything stick out to you about the patches that passed by you?
Yeah, there was a lot of air assault patches because it was a lot of 10th Mountain guys there. All of them were. I don't think there was anyone there that wasn't 10th Mountain.
What is that? What's air assault and what's 10th Mountain for the layman civvy listeners?
Oh boy, anybody can sort of look that up. 10th Mountain Division, cross swords. There's a subdued patch for it with a mountain tab.
What does that mean exactly? Is that like a certain type of? Is that airborne? You know what I mean? Like, is there anything like specific, or is it just a certain division?
Yeah, it's the 10th Mountain Division out of Fort Drum, New York.
Okay.
So yeah, I used to be part of that. That was my first unit. That's what I was there at Huachuca when I got sent down on mission. That's what I was part of. So I was recognizing that they're all part of 10th Mountain Division. I don't think I remember seeing anybody that wasn't. I was looking at tabs. I think there were a couple airborne tabs there, a couple airborne badges on their BU uniforms. And, us military guys, we sort of dick measure by that kind of stuff. We look for that kind of thing. And then, so when the sergeant major who had escorted him out came back in, he passes by me and he's a little bit older. I felt like, oh, I've got somebody a little bit older, and I could tell he had a ranger tab. So, I sort of teased him about that as I was asking where his long tab, special forces tab was, and we got to chit-chatting back and forth, and he started asking me, what I was there for, and I said, well, it's sort of a long saga story, but I'd like to get some records and make a report. And he was going to invite me back to his offices. I had to sign in properly at the desk, so they were going to have me do that. I was taking out my IDs. I could tell on the sign-in sheet that I wasn't the only, like there had been people there before me that had signed in. And as I was signing in there, that's when the two captains came out. So as that entourage sort of left in the vehicle, my back was toward it. Then these two captains come out, and they're escorting me out of the building or asking me to step outside and leave my bag.
Was one of them the one of the ones you had talked to previously?
Yeah,
the guy who was.
It was the one that I talked to previously, and the Captain Neff.
Okay.
So, they asked me to put my bag down. Sure, put it in their area. I said, do I need to bring it with me or something? It might be they sort of all of a sudden stiffened up. Like,
were you caught completely by surprise since up to this point they were casually talking to you and a little chummy or whatever, and then all of a sudden now it's like, come with me? Is that pretty much?
Yeah, exactly. It was a little bit
like
more
someone
stiff,
had
and they're asking me to
switch the flip or switch the flip.
flip the switch. Yeah. And I was like, is there something wrong? Am I in trouble? Like, did I do something wrong? Because I'm just here asking questions. And they said, no, we just have you come outside with us. We're going to talk out here. Okay, and they wanted to escort me over to the park benches away from the building. Okay, so we go sit down. And they start asking me what I was there for, who I was, all this stuff. I gave them my files. I gave them all my records. I gave them my ID cards. I was real open with honest, like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I would just like a little bit of help if I'm in the wrong spot, let me know. But I didn't want to keep repeating my story. Like, we've been here for 2 hours, just going over 2 hours of stuff. I didn't want to keep repeating my story. So I remember telling one of the captains, is there any chance we can bring that Sergeant Major out? Because he was old enough and I figured he had experience enough that we'd have enough common language, between the generations of military people there. So he gets up to go do that and he never really returns. And it was just me and Captain Neff there and we were talking. Really nice gentleman, really great guy. And he was sort of taken off by the next response that happened too, is all of a sudden vehicles start coming in, police vehicles, other cruisers, military types, and they just sort of like created a wall in front of me. Then there was
This is after they escorted you to a bench outside. You were in their
Yeah.
presence from the inside of the building to the bench, correct? And never left. They never left your presence after you left the building, correct?
all right, state that
You
one
were
more time.
with. You were
Yeah,
so you
Captain
were.
Neff.
You
Yeah.
were in the
So,
presence of a military officer the entire time once you went in at the very beginning of the day. When you first went into this building, you were there with a
mhm.
reception, and then you only left when they come back out and asked you to come outside, and then you went outside to the bench. You were accompanied the entire time, correct?
Yeah. And I was sitting
Okay,
at the
continue.
bench. I was still facing the front door. They one sat on each side of me. Captain Neff was on my left. The other captain, and I wish I could remember his name. But yeah, he ended up getting up to go get the sergeant major that I requested.
And that's when they all rolled in.
Then all of a
Right after he
sudden,
left.
yeah, it didn't. Yeah. Then all of a sudden things changed. And then all of a sudden I have a line of vehicles in front of me, officers, and then this
Can you
plainclothes.
be more if you can, and I'm going to push you a little bit. Can you be more descriptive of what type of responder vehicles showed up? Were they Sierra Vista police? Were they county? Were they military police? Were they contractors? What all law enforcement were represented when they swarmed in on you?
The answer is yes. It was like all of them. There was different types of each one of them. I wasn't, I wasn't there counting vehicles. I wasn't there it was just police vehicles, police cruisers, federal. Obviously, there were, what do you call it? Like the police vehicles they're white,
Marked or
mostly with
unmarked?
marked, with roll bars. There was two of those cruisers. There was another olive drab or tan vehicle. There were two tan vehicles, cruisers that came up and parked in front. It's sort of a big parking lot, so they had a lot of room to maneuver in front of me. And then, so they were between me and the front doors of the building that I was looking at. There was a lot of people there getting in and out of their vehicles. There was two plainclothes officers, detectives I could see. One was a male, and he was communicating with people in the building mostly. The female, she was like directing people to come toward the bench with me and Captain Neff.
And so
And
did you like when you saw all this, were you like, hey, Neff, what's going on here?
Absolutely, yeah. I asked him. Literally, as they kept coming up and trying to press me, like asking me what my problem was, or trying to get me to act like I was agitated or something, I was correcting them and saying, I'm not agitated. I'm not, there's nothing wrong. I'm just here making a report and trying to request records.
As somebody who's trained and somebody who has experience, um, do you feel as though they were trying to manipulate a certain type of answer or response out of you?
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to dig and provoke a response of some type. I gave them nothing. I just sat back and said, here's my records, here's everything. They had a older, almost like park ranger guy come up. The female was directing him to come up and talk to me while I'm sitting there with Captain F. And I looked over at Captain F and I asked, what is this about? What's going on? And he shrugged his shoulders. He looked at me, he goes, I don't know. It was bizarre to him too. And he had to ask them what all this was about.
Did you
Eventually
did you at any time between the time you left the building and what you're describing right now message your wife, video call, record anything, do any like did you videotape the cars out there or anything?
No, I wish I had. I should have had if I would have, I've teased after that. Have you ever seen that first 5 minutes of Blacklist where he goes into the CIA building and gives them a name and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden he's got guns pointed at him? It was like that, except for larger. And I wish I if I'd have known something like that was happening, I would have dressed the part and had a body camera on, because it was just incredible. But no, when they started directing these people to interact with me, I was real cooperative. I had my records. They were trying to pick holes with my records, and why do you have two different types of passports with different names? And I told them, there, right here's the legal name change. Here you go, buddy. They wanted to know what car I drove in. I said, I pointed to it over there. They wanted to know if they could search it and stuff. I'm like, yeah, of course. Here you go. I flipped them the keys, and
Did they ask you for your phone?
actually, I'm sorry about my phones. Now I'd put them in with my bag as I went in the first time. So they were in the top flap of my backpack, which they had me leave there. So they were in possession of those.
So, in the building, you left your
Yeah.
phones in the building in the bag.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I didn't get to. I wish I'd record all this stuff. It was sort of incredible.
Does your just real quick, if you don't mind sharing, does your phone have some kind of lock on it, lock screen, biometric or passcode, pin code, fingerprint, anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. So they couldn't just willy-nilly access your phone while they had custody of it while you were outside. Go ahead, continue.
Well, one phone did, one phone didn't, but yeah, the phone
And
I
which
used has a passcode.
the one that your daily driver does have a passcode?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, continue.
So while this is sort of going on and getting drug out, and they keep, it was sort of like waves of them, and they would keep trying to do the same.
And the
sort of
whole time you're
interaction.
still sitting on the bench.
I'm looking at them like they're fools and asking Captain Neff, what
But
the
you're
heck
still-
is going on here?
You're
I'm
still
teasing
sitting
them.
outside on the bench. They haven't like taken you back into a room anywhere. All
No.
this is happening outside in front of the building.
Yeah. And then after a while, they said, we're going to have to call people in to inspect your vehicle, because you're a ex-special forces engineer. And I was like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, you know how to make bombs and stuff. And I'm like, so what? I served in the military. So now, are you kidding me? A bomb threat? And really, you're going to put that on my record? And I was shocked and not surprised type of deal. Like what I've already
The one
had.
time you don't have your phone on you.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there Okay, this is going to be great. Can't wait to read this report. But that's one of the things I was insisting on too, is getting a report on this, like especially with Captain Neff. So
they say they need to check your vehicle for a bomb. Go ahead, continue.
yeah. So they, I flip them the keys and they go check it. It's like they found my empty cup of coffee, I think. It's a rental vehicle. They were asking me if I drove it there because it had out of state plates or something. And I'm like, no, it's a rental vehicle, guys. I got it in Tucson. You can check with Enterprise. Here you go. I think I even had the receipt for Enterprise on there with me. So they were just like trying to probe a bunch of different ways to, it seemed to like nab me up in something. And I kept trying to conversate with Captain Neff. What's going on? What did I do wrong? What is this about? And I just figured it was part of the false flagging that we've encountered previously. That's been put there by local authorities here. And I'm, what do you do? I'm just sort of, I'm sitting back taking this in and trying to have conversation, but they kept interrupting with the same questions over and over again. Different person would come up and ask the same questions. Yeah, that went on for a while. And as I did, there was another vehicle that pulled in to the front of the building. And then they wanted me to get in one of their vehicles. They were going to take me somewhere. And this went on for a while.
When they said they wanted you to get in one of their vehicles,
Never get in the car, Mitch. Don't do it.
When they said that they wanted you to get in one of their vehicles, what was did you get a feeling in the pit of your stomach? Like what was your emotional response right there?
I've been through so much in my life. I just
kind of like, fuck it, par for the course. Let's just fucking get it over with.
Let's get it over with. And then it was just I was a little bit put off that they're making a bomb threat, that they're evacuating the building. They're having all these guys go stand out in the field.
Did you see them do that?
Up into the vehicle. Oh yeah. They pulled everybody out of the building. They said they evacuated other buildings that day and they shut down the post. And I was like, what the actual heck is going on here?
So
what is it that they like? I'm in shorts, guys.
I realize things are really heightened right now. There's a lot going on. Did you, when they evacuated the building, did you see any more VIP looking individuals come out?
No, I couldn't. When that vehicle pulled up and then pulled away, and then they apparently evacuated the building. The people were standing, like they exited and went toward the exit of the parking lot and stood out there. They put me in the vehicle with Captain Neff and this other guy.
Did they cuff you?
Then what's that?
Did they cuff you?
No. They asked if they could frisk me. I said, yeah, go right ahead. You want to fill me up? You got to tell my girlfriend though. And I mean, it was just so absurd. It was so over the top of why is this happening? So yeah, when they drive me apparently to CID. And previously I'd been pretty darn close, but I hadn't found their building. So I go in there. There's an interrogation room.
So weird that he never indicated you were at the wrong building. It's so weird to me.
They couldn't tell me that I had done anything. The whole time they said, no, you've done nothing wrong. I said, well, why a bomb threat? And why this? And they said, oh, well, that was a little bit of an overreaction. That was our fault. I'll make sure that goes in the report. I go, I was curious as to why any of that happened. And I thought it was due to me, or what had been done to my records previously, we've discovered. So I sat there in this room. They turned on a tape recorder. I talked with Captain Neff. He left the room like once or twice, and another guy tried to come in and talk with me. And I told them my story for the previous 35 years. I asked that they were wondering why I was there, who I was connected with, and it really seemed like they thought I was there to spy or some nefarious purpose, or I didn't have a purpose there. And I'm like, I'm a veteran. I am a citizen of this country. I'm petitioning my government for records I should be able to get, and I'd like to give a report because it's really important.
And this whole time you're thinking it's about you, right? Like you're thinking that it's about your past, the records that you're requesting that's creating this backlash and this frenzy, and you can't make heads or tails of it other than you're like, okay, this is just more of what I've already dealt with, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And it's one of those interrogation rooms where they have the one-way glass. Like somebody staring at me on the other side of the glass there. There was a detective.
What was the demeanor like during the questioning? Was it adversarial? Did they do a good cop, bad cop? Was it
No, it was
skeptic?
it was very, very casual. And obviously, every once in a while, one of them would come back in and they would have records of that they pulled up from the local county up here. They pulled up, I guess, VA records and other things that they would question me about, and they'd give me information that I didn't give them yet. So obviously, they were getting it from somewhere. Yeah, and then they tried to do what did they say? Well, in any instance like this, we've got to have somebody, a site counselor, come in to make sure. We just have to. It's part of a checklist. And I was like, "You think okay? Fine."
A psych
so they brought in this
counselor?
counselor.
What?
Oh yeah, this kid was definitely a. No, I don't want to. Boy, the poor kid. It wasn't a highly qualified individual, I guess. But he was nice enough. Little bit of an alternatively dressed type of character, and he comes in asking me what my problem was that day, and it's like, I don't have a problem. Well, what kind of feelings do you have? What kind of medications are you on, and what diagnosis? And I'm like, none. Well, what's your why am I being asked this, Captain Neff? What's going on here? I'm not a harm to myself or others or anything like that. I'm not here for anything. I just want to get records. I want to give a report and get the hell out of here. And they said, well, what do you mean you want to get the hell out of here? And I told them, I don't like necessarily staying around a place that could possibly end up with me getting, killed. I would like to leave, get my stuff done, and go. And if I leave here, I ain't coming back. And he said, oh, okay. And then they sort of shuffled around, but this went on for hours. But yeah, the site counselor, they wanted to lock me up for 24 hours or something like that. And I was like, I ain't getting locked up for anything. We'll move along. Like, they really kept bringing up this 24-hour period. And then they finally came back and said that the post commander has said that I have to be trespassed off the post for 24 hours. And Captain Neff said, well, after that, you can come back and talk to me about what you have to report and stuff. I said, Captain Neff, I leave here, I ain't ever coming back. Sorry, nice meeting you. You've been nice and all, but so then they packed up my stuff. They did mention, as I was leaving, one of the guys came in and I was talking about my son because Captain Neff was asking if you've had such trouble back in Benton County in Washington there, why do you stay there? And I said, because of my son. And he said, oh, I get that. Another guy overheard it and he goes, you mean your 30-some-odd-year-old son? And I go, and I looked at him, I go, no, I have a 13-year-old. And I asked him what he was talking about, but he wouldn't clarify. So as I'm leaving, that female came out. We had a brief little interaction, and I asked if I'm okay, and she said, yeah. I said, so we're good. There's nothing, like, I'm not going to get written up, or I'm not going to go home and find out that I've been labeled a domestic terrorist again. They tried to reassure me of all that. I demanded that I get a a report number for all of that so that I can request it to make sure that they're not going to misdocument me. Okay. So they gave that to me on a little slip. They finally gave me back my pack, my phones. I took a picture of that OIG number, so I would never lose it. Then, yeah, they put me in the back of or into the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Captain F sat in the back. This park ranger guy drove. He was talking about him being in the Marine Corps. You know, they were nice enough. Drove me back to the parking lot, and they said, you know, we're gonna have to escort you off the base. And okay, so they had to tell me how to get off the base because I really couldn't find it exactly. So I get off the base. They wave at me and they do a U-turn. I wave back at them. You know, so we wanted to flip them off, but yeah. Then I took off and went to Tucson.
Did you
Stayed
get
the night there.
Did you get an incident report from anybody during all that?
Yeah, that's the OIG number that I've referenced that Candace Owens gave out. I think in the first, yeah, 277 episode. Yeah, that's the OIG number there. So that's an incident report. Yeah, and then of course I go back to Tucson. We had to get another hotel there. I got to be able to talk with Amy again. She was really worried. My phone had been blowing up the whole time.
7 hours.
So she was, so 7 hours later.
Like I can hear the frustration in her voice.
Oh, she was pissed.
I was, yeah.
She was ready to jump on a flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, me and her talked the whole way back to Tucson. Got a hotel next to the airport. I think I walked to get pizza that night as we talked. Yeah. Slept that night, turned in my vehicle the next morning. Yeah, then got on my flight. My flight happened to go have a stop off in Salt Lake City. So getting out of airplane mode.
Is this the day of the 10th that you're flying back? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So right as I'm landing and turning my phone back on, my phone's blowing up. She's calling me, and I'm trying to. Boy, I was going through the AIs and everything else, trying to figure out how many times my rights have been violated in this last 24 hours. And she's telling me that Charlie Kirk has been shot. And I was like, oh my God, where? And she's telling me Ogden. And yeah, we looked it up and it's like, oh my God, it's like, you know, throw a rock to it from the airport. It's right here. Yeah, what a coincidence. That was interesting. And I get on the next flight, I go home. And for the next while, we're really frustrated. Now we really want answers from a congressman as to what the heck is going on with my records. Why is it I can't go to a post and request, you know, without having a bomb threat? I'm
why are you still being harassed even this late, decades later, right? And you're just trying to get records for your custody battle.
What could possibly be in my records that, what have I done?
This
that this would happen multiple times. I'm, you know, like never to this level, but this type of reaction, like what could have possibly been said about me? And we're frustrated and we want answers from congressmen. So for the next month or two, we're busy. We're putting together legal packets, timelines, all my records. We've got to sift through over 16,000 records for my own stuff to get what was needed for just a report to prosecutors and or congressmen and or representatives to try and get an answer as to what the heck's going on. And while that's happening, of course, the Charlie Kirk investigation or everything that's going on with him is going on in the background. I would have the TV on, but I'm not paying attention to it too much. Until what was it, the interview that Sean Ryan, and I don't know how long that interview had been out when I finally watched it. But as soon as I saw that guy on the TV, I was like, Amy, that's one of the guys I saw. And
when would you say that was? Because that's one of the questions my audience has is how far was it between September 9th and when you
it was
realized
a
you had
good
seen
bit. It was a good bit.
a week, like weeks, a month, 2 months?
Yeah, it was like a month or more after that, wasn't it? Before I saw that when it came up. And because I don't know when he did his interview, but it was probably a week after that, maybe or so. But once I saw that, I was like, and I started second guessing myself, like, oh no. And then, I think even a week after that, as things were going by, again, I'm not trying to concentrate on Charlie Kirk.
Right.
I was, God bless
Well,
him. I wish I could have met him, but
so you tell your girlfriend that you recognize this man, and then what's your gut feeling? What's your emotional response when you recognize him?
I never go against your gut. But I was trying to second guess myself on it quite a bit. But anytime I saw that interview, it just, yeah, it was it. Yeah, everything just, yeah, it was that guy.
It clicked.
It
It clicked.
more than clicked. Yeah, and
The
then
whole scenario, did the whole scenario kind of come into focus once you realized who it
well,
was that you saw there? Like all of the drama that you went through, did you put two and two together right away, or did that take a minute?
no, I mean I recognized, but I didn't. There was no. I didn't want any pony in this game. I was not. I was focused on my stuff, my son, my kid, what I've been going through. Why am I a bomb? All this stuff. When she showed me a picture, there was other things coming up, and she showed me a picture,
Who is she?
and
You mean your
a
girlfriend or
blonde.
Candace?
Yeah, Amy
Okay.
shows me a picture of something came up about Erica Kirk and something, and she showed me a picture, and immediately I was like, "That's the that was her." I I didn't. How do you put it? I just I didn't want to. This was not.
I don't want no
I have
part of
enough
this.
drama in
I don't
my
want
game.
no part of this.
I have enough drama in my life. I do not. I don't. I don't want. We had to have long conversation. But then it keeps appearing on the screen. It was like God was telling me, no, sorry, pal, this is your story. I didn't. Every podcast or anything like that, we really don't watch news like Fox News and CNN and stuff like that. I always have typically like podcasts. So like Valhalla, and others were coming up, and they would repeat all these, and boy.
I have
So
relevant
I
post
tried.
audience. I have relevant posts to what we're talking about up in the Jumbotron. Go check it out. Sorry, continue, Mitch. So let me
Okay.
just kind of recap where we're at. You recognize Brian Harpole on his interview with Sean Ryan, and
Yeah.
so and once you tell your old lady that, no offense, it's just an old habit of me calling girlfriends that. Once you tell your old lady that, she starts showing you
Where you to it.
pictures, and you recognize Erica Kirk as the woman you had seen at the hotel, and you're like, "Fuck, man, I don't want no part of this." And then, of course,
And
you
we
can't go
started.
against
Yeah,
your
we
gut.
started flipping through. Yeah, we started flipping through pictures and everything else, and we. So yeah, once we did that, I just
Did
felt
you
like,
recognize
okay,
anybody else besides those two after you were flipping through pictures?
no, I'm not familiar with TPUSA. I didn't know their members or anything like that, but so I decided who do you report this to? It's not like we've gone to the FBI before. They're such pleasant people. They don't.
This is what
They're
makes me
supposed to
think God
investigate.
is at play here, because if you hadn't gone through the experiences that you had gone through, right, and you weren't so skeptical of the FBI, you might have ran right to them with this, and we might not be having this conversation today. This story might be buried. So I'm a firm believer that there is a plan that we don't know about, and throughout the course of this thing, I have seen God's hand numerous times, or what I perceive to be. So
We
um
have to.
you
Yeah,
have
we
to.
have to.
Yeah.
It's been.
Yeah, I think something
Yeah,
very dark is
everybody.
afoot here, and something very blasphemous and very mocking is happening here, and I think God's not gonna. It's not gonna stand. I can just tell. You can tell the way things are moving, that whatever these people think that they are, however powerful they are, or however intelligent with all of their machinations are, doesn't compete to the one, to our Lord. And there's going to be a reckoning, and you can just tell the writing's on the walls. Go ahead. So you figure out who these people are. Continue.
Yeah, so we figure we'd try to go through what was it, Ian Carroll, and also Valhalla VFT, and that didn't go so well. Yeah, Valhalla just sort of blew it off and whatnot, and it's like, what else more do I got to do? Right. And we're laughing about, like, not laughing about it, but like,
You can't get anybody to
it's
listen
so
to you.
hard.
Right. It's just par for the course.
Yeah, I'm not great at getting attention. I try not to get attention. I try not to, we sort of live a good life by not getting attention. So when it came to that, we're joking with one of our friends about it, and she hears, that what I have to say about this. And Marcy, by the way, if we're going to put out an advertisement for her, she's wonderful. Marcy Torres of Gutter Girls up here. She's got a great story. But we're telling her, and it was just so, she was so innocent about it. She's just like, oh, Candace Owens is the one that needs to know about this. And I'm gonna send her an email right now. And I've watched Candace Owens a few times. She's a great lady, nothing, but I wasn't, I wasn't obsessed with all this stuff. I was obsessed with my own stuff, trying to get my son back. So, yeah, she says she's gonna email and message Candace Owens, and we both looked at each other in the car. We're about to go into the gym, and we're like, "Oh, that's so precious!" Like, thank you, Marcy. That's great. Yeah, put a hashtag on that. Well, I'm sure that they'll get to that, and 2 million emails or something. Yeah, I thought that was just cute, and we're finishing up a conversation with her. And the phone rings, and it's got this long distance number, and I don't want to necessarily say where it's coming from, but
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
Don't say anything.
I figured it was probably one of these other groups that we've been dealing with court corruption, that somebody was calling me from another state. So we excused ourselves from Marcy and told her, "Hey, we'll call you back." And after we're done at the gym, and I picked up this phone. Yeah, Candace Owens. Hi, this is Candace Owens. Is Mitch there? He has something to tell me. I thought it was a joke. I was stunned for a minute.
I had to jump in.
Typically, I'm not tongue tied, but she had to jump in and actually start talking with Candace Owens. But yeah, after that, it was it was several days of us texting, calling, her hearing my story. I didn't want to tell her my long saga.
Thank you
But
so
during
much
that,
for sharing your story here, especially. I have not heard you get to spend this much airtime describing the experience at Fort Huachuca, and all of the smears on you. And Candace only does like an hour podcast. And so I just want to really thank you for spending so much time with us tonight and answering our questions and the badgering and you know, trying to get as much detail. And it's a lot of pressure to remember stuff. So thank you, because this has been incredibly informative. This has been amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be of service here. That's we had no idea it would even in talking to her, I didn't want to bring my story forward with it. We wanted to keep it short too. Here's a tip you might want to ask where these people were the days previous, and I thought it was going to be just that. And she wanted to know why I was there, and I sort of told her I've had a long saga. It's not that it's my own thing. Of course, we want attention to it, but this has somewhere in there we realized, the light bulb came on that wait, maybe what happened down there, it had nothing to do with me. Right. And that's something that it just sort of transpired right at the same time. And in telling it to her, and I was trying to separate it that, I thought it had something to do with me, but I don't think it does. And Candace Owens picked up on that. She goes, "Excuse me, you're going to tell me your story." And I was like, "I don't think you want to hear this." And I started telling her a little bit, and Amy was kicking in with it, and she goes, as soon as she heard tunnels and everything I've been with, special forces, getting out, and all the stuff, she was like, "Tell me everything." And she wanted to know every detail. I was like, "Oh, geez, are you kidding me? I don't even want to know everything." So we did. We tell her just about everything possibly could. And she, of course, she's doing her own thing. I had no idea she was going to tell my whole story. She did want me vetted. So she chose to go through somebody that she felt she could trust in the government. I suggested some of these other podcasters, and yeah, she had her
I'm
own.
glad she didn't listen after what you experienced.
Me too. I agree.
I think she had a heads up.
Yeah.
She's a real smart lady.
Very
She's way smarter than
That's true.
And you talk about a God thing. She's
100%.
I will tell you that through all of this, as soon as it was mentioned, Special Forces guy, Fort Huachuca, all this, and these guys started going crazy on the story, where they've tried to say that they've invited me onto their shows. That's not true. There hasn't been a single invite. They've tried to say, "Oh, why doesn't he just show up here?" It's like, well, screw you. Maybe give me a call, dude. No, you have my number. Yeah, none of that's going on. How do I put this? Yeah, their attack right from the beginning was sort of like, how dare you go around us? Like they had some sort of right on their shows. They had some sort of claim to me that I had to go through them because I'm military or special forces. And as soon as I started hearing that attitude, I was like, oh, screw up.
And
Screw that. No.
it invokes a little thing in me. Whenever people try to do that to me, it invokes this emotion. I think the best way, how do I describe it? Go fuck yourself. That's it. Yep. Go fuck yourself.
I agree.
That's what emerges.
Like, who the fuck do these guys think that they are? That just because I'm not in the military anymore. That you guys can go, you can pound rocks.
Right.
So when the guys were starting that attitude, we started turning them off, and we understood that Miss Owens had, she had a better view of things. So we took direction from her. I was thoroughly vetted. I sent every single record I have on me. So much so that Joe Kent had to say, "Okay, you're good. You're good, brother." Check. I said, "Do I check out?" He's like, "Thoroughly, you're good." So, and me and him talked.
Even those who were smearing you had to come out and didn't even apologize for attacking your valor. You know what I mean? Like, if there's anything that that like really irks me is the accusations of stolen valor. It happened in my space. I had a big space about the story the night after. All of these veterans come up into my space and be like, "Oh, nobody in the Green Berets, all of the online forums don't believe him. Nobody believes him. They're smearing you. They're saying that you're lying. Something smells off. Something doesn't pass the sniff test. Something ain't right." I don't like how he described things. Let me just tell you this. I talk to people for a living. This is what I've been doing for years now. Every day, almost all day, I talk to people, ask questions. Every single fucking response I've gotten from you has sounded way more organic than the attacks I've heard these faggots fucking bring to you over the last few weeks. I'm sorry, I don't usually drop that word, but I can't find a better way to describe these individuals who have apparently sold their soul to try to discredit you before we could hear this story. And there's a reason why, right? So, I just the attacks, the smears, dude. All they do for me was like, man, this guy's got something they don't want. They do not want this guy. If they can't stop him from talking,
That
they
part
want to
right
stop
there,
you from
that's the
listening.
part, yeah. That's the part that we picked up on too, is they're real sore about me, and it predates even this stuff. So there were things that I was trying to report, and yeah, it gives as Gary Melton said in that phone conversation, bad optics to them. Well,
You know what's
you know,
crazy is that they come up here and they said, so I got in a couple of them. One of my well, they're both subscribers. Two of veterans come up in my space, and I'm like, dude. I was like, let's see if his story checks out. But I don't think it. I don't think I'm like. He's like, I have 30 years experience talking to veterans, and I'm telling you that we don't. And he's talking about plural, like the Green Berets and stuff. We don't think he checks out. And I'm like, well, I don't appeal to authority, and that's what I said. I don't appeal to your authority. I appreciate your opinion. That's fine. But then I was like, if his story does check out as far as his record goes, are you willing to reconsider your position about the rest of what he's telling you? Right. So if it checks out that he is actually special forces, are you willing to reconsider the rest of his story, which is massive? And he said yes. Right. And so then it happens, the very same closeted homosexuals who try to smear your name for the last few weeks have to come out and actually verify that you are special forces, right? After lying and smearing, and I'm sorry, it's making me mad. It's smearing and just running your name into the dirt for weeks. Have to come out and just casually be like, well, yeah, actually, I did find out that he is special forces, but only for a certain amount of time. And I'm not sure about how he was discharged, and this and that and this, as they continue to just smear you. And I was like, dude, uh, where's your honor? It's way more dishonorable, I think, for somebody who is a veteran to smear somebody who has a solid record, right? Like that's dishonorable as fuck. You know what I mean? That's just as bad as stolen valor to me. And I'm a citizen, but those people should never have a platform ever. Like ever. They do not deserve any respect after that, if you ask me. I'm sorry. My rant is over.
Diligent. Could I just add something really quick? And I think for everyone listening to Mitch, and Mitch, thank you for being able to restate your story here for everyone. One of the things that immediately cued me in that you are who you say you are, and you were where you say you were, bona fides, is even at the basic levels of the U.S. military. Military personnel are trained to provide what's called a salute report: size, activity, location, unit, time, and equipment. Special forces in the 18 series are screened based off of their ability to do that at a more natural level. And this is what I talked about before, where there are training iterations where you go through, you're being told to observe something, it's removed from you, and then you say, what is it that you saw? So when I hear Mitch speak in detail about where he was, what he saw, things that stood out, you're trained to key in on anomalies. There's the baseline observations that are around you, and then there are things that stick out. So the fact that he could sit somewhere a couple months ago, see something, see this lady that had these very odd eyes, see this guy that looked kind of out of place, that doesn't surprise me not 1 second. And I agree with Diligent. This kind of cult effort to come out and immediately disparage Mitch and what he saw, it stinks to high heaven. That is a loud signal that something crazy is going on. And I've said it before in your space, Diligent, as a part of the background investigation process that we would do in the government, you don't just go looking for people that don't like someone to figure out who they are. You go talk to people that knew them. And as soon as I saw that all these people were doing is going and finding people that would say something negative about Mitch, I knew that a game was afoot.
I just want to clarify when I was disparaging people, just real quick. I was talking about Valhalla and the other guy. I wasn't talking about my subscribers or anybody in this space or even the people who had come up. I'm talking about the people with the YouTube channels who spent day in and day out on the timeline and live streams trying to convince you not to hear this person. That's censorship, by the way. When people are trying to cancel you, it's a form of censorship. If they can't stop you from talking, they try to stop people from listening. Sorry, Mitch. Go ahead. Continue, sir.
Oh yeah. No, hey, thank you guys. I mean that's really you're making Amy smile, so thank you. Yeah, the attack these guys took, I was I was a little bit shocked by it. A lot shocked actually that they would do that. But then, we noticed the same thing everybody else was, that this was we hit a nerve. And even before that, so there was two Candace Owens shows. The first one, she tells about my story. Then she had the whole Erica Kirk response. And then they had that meeting. And we knew we had given Candace Owens, we've given her a lot of information. And it was interesting. She went into that meeting. I'm going to let that be hers, but we were just glad that when she got out of that, we texted back and forth to make sure that
I'm not
she
gonna
was
lie.
okay.
I was extremely worried about her around that time. I was like, don't do it. Don't go. Don't meet them. Don't, no in person. No, I don't want them fuckers anywhere. I wouldn't want them anywhere near me. I've been to those events. I've been to the Arizona place. I did last year when I was on my, I was like trying to help get Trump elected. I was in all of that scene,
I will tell
and
you,
I will never
not to
go
interrupt
around
you.
them again. I will never, ever, ever, ever be around any of those people again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mitch.
As much as, it's interesting now getting to talk to, people like Candace Owens that you see on the screen all the time, and you really wonder about the real character behind the scenes. And getting to talk to her, I don't think there's somebody you could underestimate more than her. That woman is on fire. She is extremely intelligent and so driven. She's fearless, and she is after answers. And I'll tell you, I
And
pity the fool that gets in her way.
there's a whole lot of us out here who feel the very same way and are willing to do whatever it takes to get to the truth, because we all have this feeling that at the center of this, just like Epstein, at the center of whatever this fucking evil maniacal shit is in our country, behind this is the real rot that is in our country and our government. And it's the soul. It's like the soul of America. And so you can always tell from the response whenever you're getting close. Whenever the antibodies freak out like that, you can always tell that you're near a vital
Sure.
organ, and that's what's happened here. So, and dude, there's so many people out here, amongst all of the noise. Okay, the fact that we're here talking to you now and the reception that you're getting from the people around me, at least, And if you look in the comment section, I'm sure later you read through, dude, there are so many for what you're doing.
And I just say this just one last thing before you move on with the space diligent. One of the things that we would do when I was a counterintelligence officer was allow a person to retell their story multiple times, because a liar will not be able to keep their story straight. There will be big pieces that jump out and are different each time they restate a story. And what Diligent did here tonight was brilliant. And I know there was a method to the madness here, but I just kind of sat back and paid attention. He stopped you, pushed you on details, had you pivot a little bit, go back to where you were in the story, continue, stopped you again over and over. And a liar cannot hold a story together. They cannot do it. And I will tell you, if you were lying, you would be the only person I've ever seen in my entire career that had mastered a lie so well that you can pivot like that and go back and it basically be the same story you told before. So I have no dog in the fight, but I would say if I were still in the government and I was asked to do an interview or an interrogation of you, I would not walk away from that assessing that you're
I
lying at
guarantee
all.
you that
Not
none
one
of
bit.
those. I guarantee you not one of those TPUSA people would ever get into a room with me and let me ask questions like that, because they would get it. They can't even do it on the timeline where they have time to respond. You know what I mean? When they do try to reply to me, they fuck up. You know what I mean? So like that speaks volumes right there. You're willing to come face the gauntlet of the people, and they are not. Quiet, quiet. Quiet, not a fucking word, dude. There's a reason for that. Sorry, Mitch. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
No, you guys are on it. You're very smart. Yeah, you're way smarter than I am, sir. By the way, thanks for that. I didn't catch your name with the counterintelligence.
Lemaire is his name. He's
yeah. I
yep.
don't have. I'm not saying I'm not perfect. This is just what I saw, and it took a lot. When Candace Owens says she was going to bring our story forward, and the whole she was preparing the whole thing, oh boy, we thought about that. We thought about remaining anonymous with it, under my previous name, maybe, and maybe people wouldn't connect the dots. And then she had me on her show, and it was. I'm holding my tongue on that show a little bit, and I just. I put Clark Kent glasses on, but yeah, as this is going on, it's been a blessing and a curse. We've lost a lot of friends locally. Anybody who, having to survive a life where you're holding on to that third rail, it's a blessing and a curse, because you're going to scare away the people that can't stand next to you, and that's happened. I mean, we've had everything from church to friends to they can't stand the fire, I guess. And the things that were being said, that was pretty shameful. But we knew, be patient. Yeah, and Candace Owens was very firm that she was going to stick next to us. She had already gone. She knew it was coming. We told her it was coming. And we knew, I told them just to let it hit. It is what it is. And, I think it was particularly vile that they would bring my exes or any of these people out. That was
Anything they can to try to discredit you. Yep.
I mean, and we noticed it like the moment that
I
episode aired
instantly
with
called it
him.
out. I did a space on it. I was like,
Yeah, I mean, the attacks just came out of nowhere. They had it lined up. They knew who you were like immediately. And so
and
there
they
had
all
to
had
have
the
been
same talking points within the same 24-hour period, right? And then I
yeah.
start digging into them, and it just happens to be they're all affiliated with the same sponsorship account. I'll just say that, right? It's
shocker.
it's a big shocker that they're all getting paid by the same people to promote the same shit. Even people who normally disagree, all of a sudden they all line, even though they ideologically don't they don't align ideologically, all of a sudden they all have the same talking points against Mitch Snow and Candace Owens, and they're on repeat all day within the same 48-hour span. And I did a few pieces on that. I don't know if you've been following my work, or our work, I should say, and it uncovered some of that. I have to ask you, Mitch, have you listened to a space before, or is this your first time encountering it at all?
No, we've really typically tried to stay offline for as much as possible. I mean, this predating any of this, and even creating accounts is sort of new for us. So we're sort of having to switch gears 180 degrees.
I would keep it, if I can offer a suggestion, and I already told you this, I would keep it limited to the interactions that you have to make to continue to put your story out there. But I wouldn't start consuming too much on the timeline, because it's a fucking mess out here.
Yeah, no, there was. I mean, all of a sudden, my name is. Oh, I'm so sorry. What were you going to say, ma'am?
No, I was saying it's crazy in these streets out here on X. It's wild.
I
Yeah, it's pretty
thrive on
ruthless.
it now. I didn't used to, but you know what I mean. Like they started coming after me when I wouldn't stop talking about you or your story, and I was like, I don't care what you do. I'm gonna keep talking about this and all of this. The same wave, the same people that were attacking you tried attacking me, but they got their asses handed to them over New Year's, and I haven't heard a peep from them since.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you noticed that, Diligent, that there in my observation, there's been an operational pause.
Yeah, as soon as I started to expose people who were affiliated with the federal government in the past, I noticed it all came to a screeching halt. So
yeah, it almost seems to me, if I were organizing an effort to undermine Mitch, and I've seen that basically the kitchen sink option hasn't worked, it's time to pull everybody back in and refocus for the next phase. Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, well that's a signal that you see that your op is failing.
It's been 10 days since Erica's failed alibi that she hasn't followed up on it. 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
And I posted, a Publix employee reached out to me with their internal pricing charts, with all of the prices for what was behind Kabat during his alibi photo, and not one of them, and I mean not one of those, were for the date that he had listed. They were all from previous dates. Now, does that mean, I know for a fact that photo is fake? No. But it means with a incredibly high degree of certainty that it's probably a previous photo that has been edited in some way. And he is an editor at one of the largest media companies in America now, right? The Daily Wire is huge. He's a senior editor. They have lots of different technologies at their disposal. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying. And he was extremely desperate to have Candace Owens, quote unquote, verify the metadata from his photo. And I'm going to let a little secret slip. I told her not to. The reason why is because it's so easily spoofed, it's called, which is faked, even with a really high degree of sophistication and certainty. Even at a forensic level, you can spoof it. And I'm a computer science major, so I know this, but so I told her not to. And what's happened as a result is that his alibi has been left hanging enough to just get destroyed. It's up in the comment, or up in the Jumbotron, if you guys don't see. No, he was really like, he's being arrogant towards me. He called me dumb or stupid or something as I was having a back and forth with it. And then after that Publix girl came forward. Oops, I just said it was a girl, didn't I? Oh well, that's okay. That Publix girl came forward, said, here's the prices for these times, and it's from this summer. And each one was either from July, August, or July or August. And then there was one that they literally only ran for the month of September. So they had a temporary price increase for one of the items behind him. And it was literally only for the month of September. Whenever, especially, they have a temporary price increase, they always change those prices out because it's only for a limited time, right? So the fact that what he had up there didn't match the temporary one, plus all of the other things, it really doesn't hold up under scrutiny. The only persons whose alibi that was alleged to have been there, and I don't want to get into this too much with you, was Mark Amadize, because he was a member of Congress. He's on the congressional record as to being in D.C. that day, even though he wasn't on the roll call record. So Erica Kirk's alibi, it didn't stand up under scrutiny. Another one, because she, they, if you listen to Candace, they responded with a photo. She asked, "Can I see this contact on the photo?" And they sent her a picture of just the contact. So she still hasn't offered receipts. Brian Harpole, his itinerary alibi, where he said, "Here, I scheduled flights on these days and booked flights on these days, therefore it means I was on the trip." Well, anybody can schedule a flight and not fucking get on the flight. A itinerary is not proof of travel. Okay, I can tell you there's been at least a half a dozen times in the last 2 years where I was going to go fly to cover a story. I booked it, and because the story fizzled or it was already solved or whatever, I didn't go, and they just credited those itinerary flights back to my account. So I still had the itineraries that they emailed me. So if I wanted to, like Brian Harpole did with Alex Jones, I could say, "There's no way I was here on this day because, see, I scheduled this flight." It doesn't mean dick. It means nothing. It's not proof of travel. These people have not offered solid alibis for their whereabouts on the days in question. Not a single one of them. You look far more credible, okay, in your story, and this investigation is far more credible in my mind because you have the evidence that you weren't there. You have the incident report. You have the call from your estranged son who accidentally verified your whereabouts. Like as they were trying to. That's a God thing. You know what I mean? Like when he did that. Each time I see something like that happen, where the truth accidentally gets put out by those trying to hide it, I know God is working. I'm sorry, I'm on my rant. We're going to go to the hands, and then we're going to let Mitch go. Mitch, you can respond, and then we're going to do get through these hands, and then we're going to wrap it up and do the subscriber space up in the Jumbotron. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, sure. I with that, what's that? You want to do questions first? You go right ahead. And
Okay.
thank you for all of that.
Dude, nah, you guys are amazing. Clint, go ahead.
Yeah, Mitch, I'm just curious, after the reaction you've gotten, one, how confident are you at this point that we're dealing with perhaps an actual planning for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and or do you believe that there is perhaps a secretive but more benign answer as to what you witnessed on that day? Is that, granted, I'm asking for you to kind of hypothesize here, but what's your opinion as to actually what you witnessed that day at this junction?
Yeah, that's a really dangerous question. I don't want to get. I'll go back to the phone call I had with Gary.
We don't do a whole lot of speculating in these spaces, Clint.
Yeah, the phone
All
call
he
I had.
can testify to is what he saw.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
I
I would
realize
rather
that,
I would
but
rather stay.
I'm just
I would
asking
rather
based off
have.
of
I
the
would
threats,
rather.
based off of
well,
the bizarre reaction. He has to have an instinct. I'm just asking him how he feels about it, not as
I can
a
answer this
definitive
question.
statement.
I'd like to, because the answer came with Gary Melton from Paramount and his call to me, and he implied that it could be recorded, and then later on he verified that he knew it was being recorded and he gave consent. So during that phone call, being a special forces guy, I'm not, I know enough about being a medic. I've been through the 300 F1, the mechanism of injury, and then a projectile expert, such as a weapons expert from Gary there. We had this conversation while I was talking to him that, it's really simple. They have one job in all of this, and that's recreate the wound with a 30-06 without using magic bullets. I told him that, I think people are tired of hearing lone shooter magic bullets. They have one job, and him and I covered that. To see the reaction that they've had, even after that phone call, and then calling me a liar and everything else, that's sort of why we decided to release that. I mean, he even called for that release, so we did. What they were doing, it doesn't escape us that they were trying to, that they know that they had influence, not just over everybody out there, to all of you, but also to people that could be affecting our lives. They were trying to make a call of shame to make me seem so bad. They were trying to instigate some of these crazy people, and they have shown up here in town. We've watched them. And this, if you want to talk about a God thing, preparing me with my life story to this point, we've already guarded ourselves, and we have a really, there's only so many ways you can approach my life, and they're all guarded. So for them to instigate that, I mean, they were calling for, what was that one guy, George Webb or something like that? What a loon. He's been here in town, literally stalking us all over and making recordings calling for us to be lynched outside of our courthouse. They knew that they were trying to incite crazy people like that to do us harm. I think that speaks a lot to it, and you guys can decide what that means. I mean,
I've seen it. I know.
I think it meant that, we touched a sore spot, and but we were prepared. We're ahead of the game on that. And we watched them as they did all that, and me and Amy, we laughed about it and ate popcorn.
And we are still here.
We're still here. Yeah, we're the truth. We can be patient with the truth. So, I'm sure that they're trying to regroup something, but it just sort of I think the question you're asking about is that kind of a response. Doesn't that implicate them? Well, I think that's for the public to decide. For us, I know it presents an actual physical danger here. Mm-hmm. And so we're prepared to handle that. Yeah. And we had this conversation with Candace Owens, and if they want to know how tough that lady is, we all know we're going to meet our maker. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's how we live. It's not how we die. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, good luck to them. I have my story. I've given that. And if I'm wrong, okay, I'm willing to be wrong. It's not that I'm pressing an issue or that I have any resentment or anything. I'm a conservative. I've been a Trump MAGA supporter. I've helped do rallies for all of this. I don't want to keep track of the implications. The truth is just what it is, and I'm so sorry it has grown legs. I'm not sorry. It does sadden me a bit. I try not to listen to it. We're going to try not to get into. It just is what it is. What people make of it, that's going to be told, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we're all right. Yeah, we're good.
God's brought us all this far, right? So
He's prepared us for this.
How this plays out doesn't rest on anyone's particular soldiers or shoulders. I think, and I'm extremely grateful for that. That there's so many people there's an army, a literal army out here of people who are spending their every waking hour trying to get to the truth, and not trying to tell you what the truth is, but trying to discover the truth. And that is reassuring, because they're doing it not for money, they're not doing it for clout, they're not doing it for recognition. They really, really, really want to get the truth out there and exposed to the light. And every day it seems like we keep getting closer and closer to that. So thank you for that response, Mitch. Let's go to Blake. Go ahead.
Thanks, Diligent. Mitch, thank you for your service, man. I'm so sorry to hear everything that you've been through, but I firmly believe God doesn't put things in our life that He knows we can't handle. And yeah, two questions for you, man. First one: did you watch the service, the funeral there that they had for Charlie in Arizona?
No, we've been a little bit preoccupied with a lot of stuff. So no, we haven't.
Gotcha. And second question: which person stood out most to you? Was it the eyes of the
Hmm.
female, or was it, say, Brian Harpole?
Well, originally, it was Brian Harpole, and then that interview and the same mannerisms and the sort of the way he tilts his neck and the way he talks, that stood out to me heavily. And then, of course, the older pictures of Miss Kirk there, hey, you can just, I don't want to say too much. But yeah, the eyes there stood out to me because they're very much like my ex's eyes, and it made me gasp. Yeah.
No, I get
want to
it.
add a comment in there, but I'm going to refrain.
Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate you.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Blake. Destiny, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a kind of a weird question, but it's really for somebody else, not even really for me. You and when Candace had that first episode where she discussed your story under like the pseudonym of Harry Myers, um, immediately following that, I watched that whole episode. I think a lot of us watch Candace, of course, and she had mentioned somewhere in this story that you were from or had lived in Bellingham, Washington, and that
Hmm.
you were eager to meet Ian Carroll. And so Ian hadn't
Hmm.
known that, he hadn't seen that part, and he had called me a few days after that episode, and we talked about that,
Hmm.
and I brought that up to him because we're good friends, and so I was like, "Isn't that crazy? This Mitch guy," because by then I knew your name. But he's like, "This Mitch guy is from Bellingham," and it kind of freaked him out a little bit. But I just wanted to know, like, how that kind of came across to Candace in conversation. It's more like I said, it's more something I'll just refer to Ian to. I'll tell him about later.
Well, and us trying to, no, it's a good question. Leading up to us trying to reach out to Ian Carroll and to others with this tip, there was another story that happened, and that was the shooting of the National Guard, I think in Washington, D.C., where the guy was a Afghan, I think, or Iraqi that had,
Afghan Special Forces.
and he had come from Bellingham, and it was during that time, because I think that was Thanksgiving time.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Ian Carroll, one of his shows, he had said he had gone back home because this guy was from the same place as he was. So he was going back home and he was going to ask questions. And he'd mentioned on his show it was Bellingham, Washington. I was like, no way. We're not far from there. And also I've lived, I grew up on Samish Island, staring up at Bellingham when I was younger, and I know that area very well. I know Mount Chuckanut behind, Sudden Valley and all of that. I know the area, really well. Had to go up there. If you didn't catch it, you didn't eat. So we had to catch crab, and we had to catch get oysters and go out in the bay and climb Chuckanut Mountain. I've been to Bellingham. I lived in Bellingham later in my life. Know that area well. So when I heard him say that, even tried to look up to try and get him, like send him a package or find somebody that was related to him or find relatives or friends or some business up there that might know him to get this tip to him. And Amy and I, we thought about it, and we, we're not stalkers or anything, but we have a few people in our lives where we have to check people out before we really get invested. And a really good tool out there is called Truth Finder. Great advertisement for them. Should probably plug them for some money for you. But no, we plugged that in. You can look up and find things about people. And he was from up there, his family, and we were thinking about writing them a letter or sending them something. But then we thought about it and it was like, oh, good God, that might be too stalkerish. And he might, because he's a celebrity and who knows what. And oh Lord, we were. It wasn't that we took long to try and reach out. It's just it's so hard to
A lot of
connect with
noise that you have
people.
to get through. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
noise.
So yeah, we were trying to think of any possible way we could, and that was one. But then we thought, that would be. We don't want to freak anybody out, and I also told Candace Owens,
It
in
happened
that.
the way that it was supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I told Candace Owens he should be careful. He needs to take himself off of Truth Finder. So yeah, that's how that came about. I hope that answered your question, ma'am.
No, that's fine. Dilge, if you don't mind, I'll just real quick to close up on it because I think you took exactly the right course of action, by the way, by not like reaching out to his parents because he was
Right.
already extremely freaked out because of the whole shooting thing that happened and the guy was from Bellingham. That freaked him out. And then like we had spoke and I was like, yeah, no, actually the guy Mitch is from there too. And he's like, oh, there's a whole
Well, I
story
mean,
that I could
Bellingham
tell
has
you
a
about.
little bit of a history with that. I mean, it's like you guys. I mean, if you're old enough to remember back then, the DC shooter right after 9/11, there was a DC shooter. He was from Bellingham too. So that I don't know. There's something in the water up there.
Yeah, and it really
Yeah.
freaked him out, and and Candace addressed this on her recent episode that that Ian had expressed some serious concerns to her about your story, and I think a lot of it came from this kind of weird triangulation of like Bellingham, and like the timing with the shooting and everything else, kind of had him freaked out, and I just wanted to clear that up. And so it seems completely innocuous and it just seems like one of those weird coincidences that you guys just happen to cross paths location wise. But I think he took the right action because I think he would have been extraordinarily freaked out if he would have like reached out to his parents.
Yeah,
And I told him
Well,
the
that
same
was
thing about scrubbing himself off the internet. I literally told him the
I
same
just
thing.
texted him. I just kind of cussed him out. I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So some people don't have good intentions.
yeah. There's a lot of people. I mean, we have to deal with that too, even before any of this happens. So it's and I understand where they're coming from, and there's such a volume of people trying to contact them. It was just a hard hurdle to get over to try and say anything. So when this whole thing happened with Marcy, where she just whoop-de-doo, writes an email, and 5
She
minutes
came
later,
in my
Candace Owens,
space in the early, like when your story first broke. She came in that woman you're discussing, who knows your case from before, like in the local government bullshit you've been dealing with. She came up and shared your story on one of my brother spaces.
Yeah, Keta's been she's a great girl. She's been fighting hard. She's had her own battles here, and she came across like 2 years ago. She came across a lot of the stolen documents that had come from my house, and when she started looking into it to find out what it was all about, she finally ended up contacting me through someone, and then she wanted to hear my story and ask questions about all of it. And we were still trying to put together a lot of the stuff. So I answered her questions. I had to I've always been under that NDA, and I had to. That was one of the things I wanted to confirm while down at Huachuca, to confirm. Okay, my NDA is up. I want to make sure that I can. Can I write a book now? Can I do something? Can I, tell people about this? So I've always been mindful of my tongue with that one, and because you don't want to. How do you want? You don't want to manifest, that kind of business coming at you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about all of that. You
Yeah,
guys go ahead.
let's yeah, we're wrapping it anyways. Let's go to Terry, and then we'll finish with Lemaire, and then I'm gonna let you do some closing thoughts about a little bit, Mitch, and then we'll call it a night. Go ahead, Terry.
So, Mitch and Amy, thank you both. I'm glad you have a good partner there to back you up. I think that I talk to people too, and what my business is, and it's very hard when people are lying. They lie in broad strokes. They tell a broad story, but your testimony or statement is so detailed. I find it credible. The one thing I want to poke a little bit at is this congressman, Mark Amadei. Isn't that his name? Do you? I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, but how sure are you that was who it was?
I don't. Again, I don't know these people. What I do know is, and I don't want to become like, if everybody's flashing pictures at me, about everything. I don't want to do that. So I'm leaving that to Candace Owens to present me things, and she has and still does.
She showed you the picture, right?
And I gave her a description. She started filling in, sending me pictures, and
Let me just,
until
if I can interject, there is 3 congressmen, okay, who could have been there, that it makes sense they could have been there, and they look extremely alike, and 2 of them are relatives, and they are like they're like an 80% match in similarity as far as looks go, especially one time, a brief occurrence, right? So, and I to be honest with you, it's weird because despite what I had said, I had considered sending you these pictures of these congressmen to see, like, hey, but I didn't, because you told me you didn't want to see a bunch of pictures. But if you guys don't know, okay, I made a post about this yesterday and it went viral. And I have the side by side of Mark Amadei and one of the congressmen that Candace Owens mentioned last night, who we had, Destiny and myself had dug up these guys when we were researching Erica Franzwe's mom, right? And the Farnsworths have come up in our research, and I'm not trying to confuse you, Mitch, so plug your ears if you need to. And when you lay these guys, like these 3 guys out, these 3 congressmen, okay, they could all be part of the same family. You know what I mean? Like they look remarkably similar. As a matter of fact, I'll post it now and show you guys what I'm talking about. But go ahead, Terry.
Certainly is, has deep ties into the military industrial complex. There's just no question about it. But I guess my understanding, Mitch, and if I'm going too far, President, just, diligent will jump in, or you can say no. But you saw him on the 8th of September at about 7:30 in the morning. Is that true?
9th.
No, that's not true. It's the 9th.
Oh, it was the 9th. Okay, you saw it on the 9th. All right,
but
so
he wasn't. Hold on.
Yep.
He picked Amadei out of a list
photo
of
lineup.
pictures that
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
photo
yeah.
lineup that Candace had fed him. Right? He didn't know his name, so I just want to add that verification.
Right. So it was the
Yeah,
9th
no.
in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. That's really all I wanted to poke at. But do you have any view of how, because we know, well, I don't want to go there with you. I just thank you for coming forward. I'm very
Yeah,
glad you did. And we'll figure it out from there. But I hope you'll come back to the space. You don't always have to be using your name. But hopefully you're seeing the people in here are pretty thoughtful, digging for the truth. Diligent has done an amazing job, and a
yeah,
community
we
of people
subscribed
together.
tonight, so we
Cool.
subscribed tonight, and we'll
Oh,
yeah,
thanks,
we'll.
man. I appreciate that.
I really
Because
like.
I've officially made more money off of this than you have, Mitch.
yeah, and
That's awesome.
I'm one
Go
of
for it.
the token liberals, but there's everybody from every spectrum here, and we all want what's best for our country. So thanks for coming forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, you guys are actually warming Amy's heart because she's, like I said, she's a real. No offense, she's a real hero. She's chosen to be here and be there. She could walk. She could walk at any moment. She chooses to actually do this tough thing, and I'm on the hook with things, and I don't have a choice. It's either I walk through this or I don't. Yeah, I love the heck out of this lady. She's a good one. And if I had to wait this long and go through that many, bad ones, no, God really rewarded me. She's a real hero. And I thank you guys because we haven't gotten the support, but we're okay just being ourselves. And if the whole world turns against us, we're okay. We'll be happy together.
Well, you
That
got an
was so
army of
awesome.
truth. You have an army of truth warriors, who's got your back, whether you see it or not. I see them out here on the front lines of the internet warfare landscape, and there are people who are going to bat not just for you, but for the truth. And we can see who's who and what's what. And we really appreciate you guys. You're in service now. What you're doing right now is a service. You know what I
Give me
mean?
a
And
paycheck every day.
anybody who is.
Apparently, if anything, sometimes you have to joke at the absurdity of things when they get this absurd. And I think I've been accused of, besides being serial killers, serial murderers, assassins in my part time somehow, that I've killed myself, and all of these crazy things that they've come up with over the years. That I'm the leader of a biker gang, and now all of a sudden you got Alex Jones telling me that I'm everything from being a Fed to MI6 to CIA. I'm foreign adversary. Who knows what? Man, I'll tell you what. I need to start applying for some paychecks.
Mitch,
I
I do want to thank you for opening our eyes to seeing how many of these people are just paid shills and they're lying to us. Because of you, it has opened our eyes to so many people who are just fake and gay. And so I truly appreciate you and Amy both.
It really did expose so many people.
There's no coming back from this for some of them. So you did a service not only in this case, but you did a service for us as Americans and us tellers and followers and seekers, that now we have found, like, we can see the difference between who's out there pushing Fed slop and who's actually out there really digging and looking for the truth.
Yeah, I hope that continues. I know that there's going to be there's people with agendas and stuff, and that they're gonna push us one way or another. And good on them, I guess. You can try. We are who we are, and we're happy with it.
Yeah, stand firm.
Yeah. Good luck with all that.
Everybody in the
You guys are
comments,
awesome.
say a thank you to Amy and send her some love because it really does take a strong woman.
Tag Mitch when you do that so they can see it.
Yeah, so they can see it because it does take a strong woman to be able to stand through something like this whenever you don't have anything to do with this except for loving the person and standing behind them when the whole world is attacking them. That is a strong woman, and we appreciate you, Amy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for making him stay with us in the space. I told you it would happen. I knew what was going on. Really appreciate that. We really appreciate it, man. This has been so informative. Just I'm gonna let Lemaire do his last layup, and then I'm gonna close this out, and then we're gonna go to the subscriber space. And there's a link for that up in the jumbotron. If you want to support what Mitch is doing, help share his message. Okay. If you see that he is sharing content about what he's observed, especially right at this place, please help him get that message out. Help us get that message out. If you see us covering Charlie Kirk, anybody who's seeking truth, anybody who's sharing information that's not bullshit, please share that out, especially with Mitch. Same thing with me. If you want to support what I'm doing, turn all notifications on for my profile. I do investigative journalism, and you don't want to miss that. Plus, if I host a space, you don't want to miss those either. I promise. Go ahead, Lemaire. And Stu's requesting. Go ahead and come up, Stu. I'm trying to bring him up here.
Yeah, so just real quick, Mitch, and
Mm.
please don't feel pressure to answer this question, but you mentioned something earlier about the American people are sick and tired of being fed lone gunmen, magic bullet. I was going to ask you if in your personal circle, especially those that have served and seen combat, I will speak for myself. I've seen and treated a lot of combat injuries when I was in Fallujah. And as soon as I heard that the official narrative was that was a 30-06 to soft tissue in the neck, I knew we were being lied to. I guess my question to you is: does anyone in your personal circle believe that? And then, just to you, and not asking you to speculate, what do you think it means that we're being given this narrative again?
Mm. You know what? I even covered this in my call, Gary. There's so many of those guys that are out trying to support that Fed narrative. I don't think you guys can grasp how many man hours of special forces guys are out every weekend trying to do the one thing I just said, is reproduce that wound with that weapon. That's their one job. If they could do that, my testimony is irrelevant. Anything that I said or saw or anything like that, if they can produce that, then it doesn't matter what I saw or who I saw. If I was on the moon and saw them riding little ponies, it doesn't matter. And that's what I was telling Gary I was challenging him, just go do that. Go do your job and make me irrelevant, please. This doesn't benefit me. No, I don't know anybody that has said that they believe in this 30-06 narrative. I grew up hunting. You know, I know what a 30-06 does. That thing's a cannon.
I haven't talked to one person who otherwise wasn't being paid to talk that has said that is even physically possible at all. And I have family who um I know plenty of people in the military and who have lots of experience with all kinds of firearms, and none of them, not a single one of them, said that this could have happened with a 30-06 without like blowing a hole through the back of his neck at the very least, if not just almost completely decapitating him where it hit him. Thank you so much, Mitch. I really appreciate you, brother. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to say about the space or your story that you want to convey to people before we kind of wrap it up?
You know, I just want to thank you for reaching out to us and giving, the other side of the story an opportunity. I think that was, obviously they were trying to bury me, bury us, and seeing that there is this space and it's filled with people with different mindsets and stuff that are open-minded to looking for facts. Thank you.
It's refreshing.
It's really refreshing because there are a lot of closed-minded people out there that are very superficial, and you have no idea how happy you made Amy tonight, and who knows, like I said, I might get lucky tonight now. So thank you all. And
I have the
Doing our part,
standing.
just doing
I
our
have,
part.
I have a customary policy for any two people who hook up as a result of my spaces. There is a $50 service fee, but I will waive it in honor of your testimony tonight. Thank you so much, Mitch, and
Should
you're
name your
welcome.
kid Diligent. Name your kid Diligent.
All right, you guys. Thank
Thank
you guys.
you.
It's been a
Thank you so
great
much.
space. Thank you, Mitch.
Love y'all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Noxie. Thank you. Was that your woman? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I said thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We really appreciate you, and he would not be here, I don't think, without your support. We can all tell, and I mean, really be here. So behind every great man is a great woman, and you have just made that case tonight. So thank you for your support of him, and we can just tell. So
Thank you.
really appreciate you guys. We're gonna go to the subscriber only after space. The link is in the jumbotron, and I will post this thing. I'm gonna download this thing. I don't usually do this. I'm gonna download this thing and edit it to like just a audio podcast, and we'll put it on YouTube as well. That way we can kind of maximize reach. And my YouTube channel is linked in my bio now. Go find that, share it with all of your normie friends who aren't on X, your kids, whoever, your adult kids, not your child kids. But your families, share it out with all of your normie people who aren't on X and might not hear his story otherwise. Let's really kind of move the needle on this one. Thank you so much, Mitch, and we'll see you guys later. Have a blessed night, everybody. Pray for
Thank
Mitch.
you.
Pray
thank you,
for our
Diligent.
country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
And I'll
everybody.
be calling you tomorrow if that's okay.
Absolutely. You got my number.
All right, man. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You all have a
God
good night.
bless you.
How about you too?
God bless.
Love you all. Have a great night.
She's sweet.
Awesome.